Chapter 317. Chu Dongxing's business in Beijing was very prosperous. He was known as a worm businessman, and was reported in the news from time to time. He was very famous. The villagers of the Dawn Brigade were proud of him. They would tell everyone that there was someone famous in their brigade. Unfortunately, Chu Dongxing and his family had not returned since they went to Beijing. Although they were proud, they could not help but feel regretful. He had become a big shot, but it had nothing to do with them. They were not the only ones who thought so. Yao Shui, Li Hongjun, and many people who knew the Chu family thought so too. However, no one expected Chu Xiang to return to the Dawn Brigade after graduation. Even Hua Wenkai came back with her. The Dawn Brigade was now called Dawn Village. The brigade leader was also changed to the village chief. The village chief was not prepared for Chu Xiang's return. When he heard the news, Chu Xiang and Hua Wenkai had already entered the Chu house and were cleaning the house. The village chief hurried over with a few village officials. He asked Chu Xiang in surprise, "Why are you suddenly back? What's the matter?" Chu Xiang put down the cloth and smiled at them in the yard. "Village chief, third uncle, sixth uncle, long time no see. I'm sorry the house is dirty and messy. I won't invite you in. Let's chat in the yard." They waved their hands to show that they did not mind. Many neighbors ran over and surrounded the yard wall to watch. The village chief looked at Chu Xiang's 2 bags of luggage and wondered, "Well, Chu Xiang, didn't you go to a very good university and join a research team? Are you on vacation? You came back to clean your father's grave? That's not right. Why didn't your brother and mother come back together? Could it be something happened?" Chu Xiang smiled. "Something did happen, but it's a good thing. Didn't I know that our village was a treasure trove? This mountain, this water, this land, and our medicinal herbs, this place is very worthy of development. In the past 2 years, the country's situation has been good. The economy is developing vigorously. We have to pay attention to the cultivation of talents and make a fortune. Didn't I learn a lot from the experts? I just wanted to come back and do something big. Look, this is my work permit. I'm here to help the village as a research specialist." Chu Xiang took out a certificate from her pocket. The village chief and the others had never seen it before, so they couldn't understand it. However, they could still understand the seal and title on the certificate. As soon as Chu Xiang graduated, she was specially hired by the National Agricultural Research Institute. Village chief said in astonishment, "You are Aya. You're a commissioner sent by the capital to help us get rich." "Really? Village chief, what kind of certificate is that? How can it help us become rich?" "Chu Xiang, did you really come back to help us?" Great. Chu Xiang, how are you going to help us? We'll listen to you." The villagers were all overjoyed. One after another, their faces were filled with warm smiles. Hua Wenkai wiped clean a few stools and took them out for village chief and the rest to sit on. He said with a smile, "Everyone, don't worry. Xiang and I have no plans to leave after coming back this time. We will definitely achieve something in our hometown. Don't worry. We just came back, so we need to clean up the house first. Later, we'll learn more about the situation here in detail, and then we'll study it." "Oh, that's great. Hey, you haven't lived here for several years. How long will it take you two to clean up? Let's do it." The villagers had witnessed with their own eyes that Chu Xiang doubled their grain output. They also knew that Chu Xiang and Chu Xiang had become important people. Even Lu Fang had become an employee of the Beijing Women's Federation. How could they doubt Chu Xiang at this time? As soon as they heard that Chu Xiang was really here to help them, everyone immediately rushed into the yard and scrambled to help clean up. The villagers were all used to working, so they moved quickly. It didn't take long for them to clean up the Chu family's house inside and outside. Several men even helped them to turn over the treasures in the backyard. The enthusiasm of the villagers continued for a long time. Every time Chu Xiang and Hua Wenkai went out to investigate and record the situation, the villagers would help them. The two of them could completely feel the villagers' expectations of them. Chu Xiang had learned a lot and needed an opportunity to test her strength. Her hometown was the best research institute for her, and here, she could get the greatest support and cooperation, and have the greatest room to play. After Chu Xiang finished the data analysis, she put forward different farming suggestions for the different quality of the land in the village. Now every family was divided into two parts. Everyone valued Chu Xiang's suggestions very much. They seriously learned farming skills from Chu Xiang and cultivated carefully. Chu Xiang also gathered villagers who were willing and learned how to plant herbs. She allocated a piece of land for them to plant herbs. This was the characteristic of their village. The herbs might not be valuable now, but Chu Xiang would become more and more valuable in the future. The villagers did not doubt her words at all. They did what she asked them to do. They really cooperated 100%, so that Chu Xiang's work could be carried out in the best way. Chu Xiang also developed the most suitable planting methods for the fruit trees, mountain products, wild vegetables, and dried fruits on the mountain. She taught them to everyone so that they had more choices. The villagers originally knew how to plant. Chu Xiang improved a lot. Although they did not understand some parts, they could roughly see that these improvements were beneficial to the plants. Naturally, they were more cooperative. Chu Xiang did not stop studying when they were planting. She was still observing and recording the data. She also built a research lab to cultivate and study all kinds of seedlings. She concentrated on her research in the lab. Huo Wenkai was not idle either. He applied for special approval to open a factory in the village. He bought the fruits and mountain products in the village and sold them to the whole country. The people in the nearby villages did not think that there was anything special about these, but people in other cities thought that the fruits here were very sweet and delicious. The mountain products were also very good. Huo Wenkai directly made these products into the specialties of Dawn Village. Each product was labeled with his specially designed logo, so that people would accept the brand Shuguang at the first time. Even if there were people who imitated and labeled the fruits and goods, the first thing that people thought of when they gave gifts was still Shuguang. After Huo Wenkai opened the market with the most basic good fruits and mountain products, he immediately hired experts to experiment and research. They made delicious melon seeds, hazelnuts, pine nuts, and other dried fruits, and then packaged them beautifully to sell. The villagers of Dawn Village not only planted the land at home according to Chu Xiang's method, but also found jobs with Huo Wenkai. They could work and earn money without going out during the farm break, so they were very grateful to the two of them. Before Chu Xiang and Huo Wenkai came back, they had discussed that Chu Xiang would focus on studying and improving her strength. Huo Wenkai put many things into practice. He helped Chu Xiang look after the village, led everyone to become rich, and sold all the good things in the village. This kind of sales method was still very novel in this era, and there were many difficulties in implementing it. However, because no one else had thought of it, Huo Wenkai became a person who ate crabs. He opened more and more factories, and the business became more and more prosperous. Huo Wenkai also cooperated with Chu Dongxing to open a branch in Beijing. A lot of goods were sent directly to Beijing, and Chu Dongxing was responsible for the delivery. There was no hoarding of goods at all, which surprised the villagers and made them admire Huo Wenkai from the bottom of their hearts. A year later, the farming method improved by Chu Xiang greatly increased the output of most crops. The news was reported by the village chief, and the Agricultural Research Institute in Beijing immediately sent people to understand the situation. Mr. Yuan also called Chu Xiang. After learning the details, he sighed and hoped that she could go back to help him. However, Chu Xiang had her own research ideas and research direction. She did not want to be an assistant and follow in the footsteps of others, so she politely refused. She taught the new seedlings that she had cultivated in the laboratory, and a better cultivation method to everyone, so that they could start a new round of farming. Her results were amazing, and the news reported her deeds. However, her current research was mainly focused on the farming environment in Dawn Village. It was not suitable for other places, so it could not be popularized, and its influence had not spread to the whole country. In her spare time, she taught Huo Wenkai's subordinates how to make pears with rock sugar, hawthorn in sugar water, and braised eggs as well as canned fish. Huo Wenkai's factory opened a new line, which was to make cooked food and canned food. Canned food was definitely a good thing in this era. And as soon as the braised eggs were introduced, they became a must-have food on the train. It was much more convenient than tea eggs. Canned fish became a must-have gift for many people when they gave gifts. In addition to the fact that fish was a meat dish, it was also because the Dawn brand of canned fish was especially delicious. Another year, the agricultural products of Dawn Village were bumper again, and Chu Xiang's research made a breakthrough. Finally, there was a farming method that could be adapted to other areas. Her paper was published in an important journal, and it caused a great response in the industry. The report she submitted also received strong support from Mr. Yuan, and many areas sent people to learn the new technology. The country commended Chu Xiang, and even gave her a bonus. There were also reporters from the province who went to the countryside to interview her. When the reporters saw the tidy brick houses and the neatly dressed villagers in Dawn Village, they were very surprised and deliberately took a few more photos to serve as material. When the reporters saw Chu Xiang, they asked her in disbelief, "Comrade Chu Xiang, may I ask why you are staying here? And why have you been so passionate about agricultural research for so many years?" Chu Xiang thought for a while and told the truth. "I'm staying here because the villagers here are very good to me. They trust me completely and support any of my decisions. They give me the most space for research. The reason I've always been passionate about agriculture is purely because I like it. Once I'm interested in agriculture, I don't want to do anything else. It's that simple." The reporter was stunned. He thought that Chu Xiang would have some noble reasons, such as for the country or for the people. In the end, he did not expect Chu Xiang's reason to be so simple. He asked, "Then do you still plan to stay here? Do you have any plans for the next step?" Chu Xiang had already thought about this. "Next, I want to raise money to build roads and schools here. I might have to stay here for a long time in the future. Of course, I have to think of ways to improve the environment here. That way, living here will be more comfortable." When she saw the reporter's surprised expression, she smiled and said, "Don't be surprised. This is not a selfish thought. I didn't give less than I should. I just feel that if everyone starts from themselves and makes contributions, wouldn't it be much easier for many things?" This was a very new concept. It seemed to be contrary to the selfless contribution that society highly valued, but it did not seem to be a problem at all. After the report was released, more people admired Chu Xiang. Chapter 318. Chu Xiang wanted to raise funds to build roads and schools in the village, which naturally involved the demolition of some occupied houses. Some people's houses or land happened to be in the area to be occupied. After asking around, they found out that they could get a lot of money and were overjoyed. The Yao family also had a piece of land to be occupied. They hadn't separated yet, so they bought meat to celebrate. They were so happy that it was like the new year. They were so happy. Chu Xiang held a grudge. Since one time she saw them in the factory, she openly expressed her dislike for the Yao family. After that, the Yao family could no longer find a job here. The Yao family saw that the villagers nearby were making money to build big houses. Everyone was happy and lived a good life. Only their family didn't have a chance at all. They felt so sad. But this time was different. The location of their land was good, and the road just happened to pass by there. Chu Xiang couldn't leave them alone, so they finally tasted the benefits of Chu Xiang's return. But of course, they wouldn't be grateful to Chu Xiang. Instead, they hated Chu Xiang because Chu Xiang caused them to lose their jobs. This time they were very happy. They gloated that Chu Xiang must be very sullen. They didn't have to do anything and she gave them a lot of money. In fact, they really thought too much. Chu Xiang didn't care about this kind of thing at all. She just happened to see it and casually mentioned it before. Chu Xiang had long forgotten about them. When she was asked in an interview, she remembered that she didn't hide it and said straightforwardly that who didn't hate people. It was completely reasonable that she didn't allow them to work in the factory. Moral quality was also one of the important assessment standards for employees. Her attitude caused criticism after the report. After all, selflessness, tolerance, and forgiveness were very important in this era. But Chu Xiang openly expressed her dislike for some people. Some people admired her because she had a clear personality, dared to love and hate, and was not hypocritical. Some people thought she was selfish, vengeful, and unforgiving. These didn't matter because Chu Xiang's contribution was too great. Criticizing her was tantamount to having no conscience. If she was selfish, was there still a selfless person? She unconditionally publicized the results of her research, helped her neighbors to become rich, and raised funds to build roads and schools. She was such a great person. So what if she hated a few people and was not happy to see them? Many people knew that someone who could be hated by Chu Xiang was definitely not a good person. The Yao clan's reputation in the surrounding villages was rotten. Yao Shui had seen such reports before. She did not know if she was torturing herself or something else. Every time she saw reports about Chu Dongsheng or Chu Xiang, she would pay attention to them. She even kept the newspapers. They were indignant, regretful, and resentful. This time, Chu Xiang's company, Chu Dongxing's company, Hu Wenkai's company, the government, and several well-known companies all donated money. They successfully raised enough money and naturally, the news was reported. This was the first time that a large-scale donation drive had been launched in the name of an individual. Whether those companies were doing it because of their connections, or because they wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to become famous, they were all reported in the news. The newspaper also wrote in detail the name of each company and the nature of their business. It was considered a strong advertisement for them. Of course, Yao Shui saw such special news. At first, she felt jealous. She felt that although she had just been reborn, she could only rely on her sensitivity to fashion styles to buy and sell goods. She opened a clothing store and then saved money in hopes of buying a house in Beijing. However, her ex-sister-in-law and ex-husband, who had changed because of her, were living much better than in her previous life. They could easily raise so much money. Later on, she saw the news a few times and felt that something was wrong. She had a piece of land on the road from the village to the city. Li Hongjun did not let her move and even chased her out. Her household register had always been in the village. At that time, she had been given a piece of land. Yao Shui's heart raced at the thought of this. She packed her things and rushed to the village. Demolition was a huge sum of money for ordinary people. She could solve the problem of buying a house immediately. If she could find a way to get a loan, she might be able to buy 2 or 3 houses in Beijing. In the future, with the skyrocketing property prices in Beijing, she could live a good life even if she did not do anything for the rest of her life. Moreover, the real estate market in Beijing had not developed yet. Most of the houses were single-story houses. If the few houses she bought were demolished, she would make a lot of money. This would be much more profitable than working hard to open a clothing store. Yao Shui was so excited that she could not sleep. She was excited about the demolition, but she was also worried that her land was not occupied. She returned to the village nervously. When she asked the village chief, she felt relieved. There was really a piece of land. She was going to be rich. However, the village chief was puzzled when he saw her so happy. Yao Shui, this land. Didn't you give it to your family? They have already signed the papers. The demolition money should be given to them in 2 days. What? This is my land. How can I give them the demolition money? Yao Shui said anxiously. Chief, you might not know this, but everything here is against the law. According to the law, the land belongs to whoever owns it. There is no transfer or change of name. If they sign and take the money, it's illegal. If you give them the money, you'll be breaking the law too. The village chief pulled a long face. What do you mean? When you left, you gave the land to them. I and a few people who were there heard it. Now you are blaming me for colluding with them to get your demolition money? Yao Shui took a deep breath and smiled. Village chief, you have misunderstood. Look at me, I am also anxious. Calm down. I don't remember giving them the land at all. If you do, it is very likely that you said it casually in a fit of anger. How can it be counted? Just like what I said just now, if the land is given to someone, it has to be changed. If I really gave it to them, how can I give it to them verbally? Verbally has no legal effect. If they take the money, it is illegal. Only I can sign the papers and only I can take the demolition money. Now that I am back, you don't have to be in a difficult position, right? You just need me to sign the papers and take the money. The village chief was confused. What legal effect? What illegal? He was not educated and did not know about these. In their village, married women usually did not have land. However, the Li family did not move Yao Shue's family. At that time, the Yao family wanted to get an additional piece of land, so they used Yao Shue's name. Yao Shue did not care at all. In front of the village chief and a few people, she gave the land to the Yao family. Now, Yao Shue went back on her words. With so many people around, it was clear that she was interested in the demolition money. However, Yao Shue's condition was so serious that the village chief was a little worried. He immediately asked her to leave first. He would personally go to the county and the construction company to clarify things. At the same time, he would also ask someone to inform the Yao family, so that they would not come and make trouble with him again. This time, the road and school construction were contracted by Chu Dongxing's company. Now that he was involved in real estate, he had a very good construction team in his hands. He also had connections in the construction industry. He was the most suitable person to do the construction for his hometown. Moreover, he could also ask his confidants to personally supervise the construction of the road and school. He could also use this opportunity to make a name for his real estate company. Therefore, when the village chief asked about Chu Dongxing's company, the person in charge found out that the Yao family was on the demolition list. It was fine that no one had noticed it before. Now that the person in charge had noticed it, he could not pretend that he did not know and give the Yao family so much money. The person in charge was Chu Dongxing's confidant. He was sent back to his hometown by Chu Dongxing to do construction. Of course, he had to understand the situation in private. The villagers could not keep secrets. The person in charge found out about Chu Dongxing and Chu Xiang's past in the village. Of course, he also knew that Yao Shue had harmed Chu Xiang and betrayed Chu Dongxing. Now that he knew that such a good thing like the demolition had fallen into Yao Shue's hands, he felt a little uncomfortable. After telling the village chief that the land belonged to, he could only sign it. He found the relevant staff to have a meeting to see if they could make some changes to the road. At the same time, the Yao family had already found Yao Shue and started to argue with her. At first, Yao Shue looked down on the villagers, including her parents and sister-in-law. She earned money secretly, and did not share the money she earned from selling textbooks with her family. They had a lot of opinions about her. Because of Yao Shue, her reputation was ruined several times and implicated the Yao family. She even offended Chu Xiang and caused them to lose their jobs. They did not have any affection for Yao Shue at all. When they were distributing the land, the Yao family played a smart trick. They wanted to use Yao Shue's household to occupy a place to get a piece of land. At that time, they just wanted to plant more land and have more harvest. Who would have thought that there would be demolition? In her previous life, no one built roads for her hometown. Even if the government built roads later, it was only a road that connected to the county. It had nothing to do with the Yao family, and did not occupy much land. Therefore, Yao Shue did not think about it at all. When she heard them, she casually agreed. She even gave the land to them because she did not need it. She wanted them to stop nagging her about not contributing to the family. Since the land was occupied by Yao Shue's household, of course, they could not change the name and transfer it to the Yao family. Later, because Yao Shue never contacted her family could not find her. Moreover, they did not understand the importance of changing the name. They only treated the land as their own, and did not care too much. They did not expect that Yao Shue would suddenly come back to snatch the land from them when they were building the road. They were the ones who came up with the idea of getting the land. They were also the ones who planted the land. Back then, Lin gave it to them as compensation for the loss of their reputation. No matter how they looked at it, the land did not belong to Yao Shue. The Yao family did not want to lose out. The family took turns to quarrel with Yao Shue. After all, Yao Shue was reborn in the future. She did not quarrel with them at all. She only said one sentence firmly: do things according to the law. The Yao family did not know the law, but Yao Shue kept saying that she would go to the court for consultation. If they dared to make a move, she would go to the police station. As a result, the Yao family could not do anything to her. They just scolded her in front of her door. They dug out all the bad things she did and scolded her without stopping. By this time, the villagers also knew about this matter. No one expected that after Yao Shue disappeared for so many years, she would still be able to let them see such a scene. Everyone knew that the Chu siblings returned to their hometown to bring glory to their ancestors. But what about Yao Shui? She returned to her hometown to make a fool of herself. Yao Shui did not even care about her reputation now. As long as she could get the money, she would move her household register to Jing City. She would not be able to see them for the rest of her life. She did not care about anything else as long as she could get the money in her hands. She knew very well that Chu Dongsheng and Chu Xiang were already at such a high level. As long as she did not cause trouble, they would not deliberately make a fuss about it. However, she forgot one thing. Chu Xiang was very vengeful. There were many things that did not require the big shot to do personally. She only needed to express her dislike for someone, and her subordinates would naturally make things difficult for those people. The route was fixed, but as long as it was slightly off course, Yao Shui's land would not be occupied. Chapter 319. Just as the Yao family and Yao Shui were falling out, the village chief received a notice that the road construction route had been changed a little. Yao Shui's plot of land was no longer occupied, so they did not have to fight for it anymore. This caused an uproar in the village. It was none of their business whether Yao Shui's plot of land was occupied or not, but now that the route had been changed, a few other families' plots of land were no longer occupied. They all went to the village chief to ask for an explanation, but what could he do? The demolition was all based on luck. Who would say that the plot of land had to be occupied? If they wanted to blame someone, they could only blame the Yao family for causing trouble. If they had not kicked up a fuss, the demolition payment would have already been issued. Chu Xiang was researching in the laboratory, so the villagers could not see her. Huo Wenkai was in the factory office, and the troublemakers were stopped by the security guards as soon as they reached the door. No one could find them even if they wanted to. Furthermore, the village chief had already said that this matter would not be changed. The company was going to build the road in this way, and they had already started to measure the dimensions and do the preliminary work. If a few of their plots of land were not occupied, there would naturally be a few other plots of land that were occupied. The new plots of land would be happy, and it would definitely be good. The villagers could not unite, so they could not kick up a fuss. Those few families could only regretfully miss this great opportunity. They had no one to blame, so all their resentment fell on the Yao family. They rushed to the Yao family's house and scolded them. There were too many people, and someone even smashed some of the Yao family's things. It was the same at Yao Shui's house. Yao Shui was stunned. How did the money that was about to enter her pocket disappear just like that? If it was good, she could get the demolition payment. Why did she not get a single cent after a few days? She was also busy running around the county and city. She went to ask the company and the village chief, but it was useless. The village chief asked for information, but the person in charge of the road construction did not say anything. He only said that there were some problems with the original route, and now the revised route was better. What else could everyone do? It was not a personal grudge but a better route. It was for the good of everyone. No one could find fault with that. However, everyone in the village knew that Yao Shui had betrayed Chu Dongsheng. It would be strange if Chu Dongsheng's company occupied her land for road construction. Those few unlucky families were all Yao Shui's fault. Yao Shui had become a street rat that everyone in the village wanted to beat up. Others still had some misgivings and only scolded her, mocking and ridiculing her. After missing out on such a huge fortune, the Yao family was so angry that they were about to go crazy. Eldest sister-in-law Yao and second sister-in-law Yao grabbed Yao Shui and gave her a good beating. Father Yao and mother Yao didn't care. Yao Shui tried her best to escape from Eternal Village, but her heart felt as if there was a huge stone pressing down on it, making it hard for her to breathe. She rushed to Chu Xiang's laboratory, but there were 2 retired soldiers guarding the door. She couldn't get in at all. However, she was lucky. Chu Xiang had just finished her research, and the Heaven and Earth mirror had informed her of Yao Shui's situation outside the door. She then changed her clothes and came out. Yao Shui was so angry that she stepped forward and questioned. "You can't bear to see me doing well? So many years have passed. How cunning must you be to hold such a grudge? Do you have to block all my avenues of income just because you heard that it was me? Everyone thinks you're great, but I think you're just selfish." The retired soldier scolded and wanted to chase her away, which gave Yao Shui a fright. Chu Xiang waved her hand and smiled. I know him. I just want to say a few words. The two retired soldiers stood behind Chu Xiang, looking ferocious. Anyone who saw them would not dare to act presumptuously. Chu Xiang walked in front of Yao Shui with her hands behind her back. She looked at her from head to toe and asked with a smile, How did I block your avenues of income? I'm very busy every day. If you didn't come to me, I would have forgotten about you. Yao Shui looked embarrassed. You dare to say that you didn't do it? You asked people to change the route so that they wouldn't occupy my land. You also didn't let me get a single cent of the demolition fee. You also didn't let my relatives work in the factory. Chu Xiang shook her finger and interrupted her. You're wrong. This isn't called blocking your avenues of income. This river. I'm happy to pay for it. I can hire whoever I want and occupy wherever I want. Why? Do I need to talk about fairness and reason with you? You've been in the capital for so long. Do you really think that this world is fair? If something good happens to you, you should accept it. If it doesn't, it's useless for you to complain. Also, she leaned closer to Yao Shui and whispered, I just hate you. I won't let you earn a single cent from me. What can you do to me? After so many years, they finally met again. Chu Xiang updated the list of the best quotes, causing Yao Shui to tremble in anger. What do you want? You're already high above everyone else. You have money and status, yet you refuse to let me go. What do you want? Yao Shui glared at Chu Xiang. She gritted her teeth and her expression turned ferocious. Chu Xiang looked at her innocently. I don't want to do anything. When did I care about you? Didn't you come to me on your own accord? She tilted her head. But now that you mention it, I remember that we have a grudge. Back then, you almost killed me and even tried to work with Li Hongjun to harm me. You don't deserve to have a good life. Later, I'll arrange for someone to deal with you. The word deal with was cold. When Yao Shui heard it, it was as if she was going to be disposed of like trash. Her heart instantly turned cold. She regretted it. Why did she come to look for Chu Xiang? She should have understood Chu Xiang's character. It was useless for her to kick up a fuss, and it was even more useless for her to be indignant. Coming to look for Chu Xiang would only make things worse. However, it was useless for her to regret now. Because of her rashness, Chu Xiang had caused her a lot of trouble. She and Li Hongjun had yet to get a divorce certificate, and all the money she earned was the couple's property. When Chu Xiang let Li Hongjun know about this, Li Hongjun immediately brought the Li family to blame her. At the same time, the various departments in Beijing started to investigate the qualifications of her clothing store. The manufacturers that were originally working with her all terminated their contracts. The moment she returned to Beijing, she was besieged and had no one to turn to for help. Only then did she know what it meant to block her path to wealth. In the clothing store, she cursed and scolded Chu Xiang for not giving her a way out. However, no matter how much she scolded, it was useless. The clothing store was investigated very quickly, and it seriously affected her business. The manufacturers did not cooperate, and she could not even get a complete sample of the clothes. It was impossible for her to operate normally. In addition to the Li family's unreasonable pestering, her store could not operate at all. She did not know how to run a business. It was already very difficult for her to barely maintain the business. After the clothing store closed down, she wanted to do something else, but she was completely powerless. She only knew that she had made a fortune by speculating in stocks, real estate, and the electronics industry. However, she was ignorant and incompetent. After going back and forth for a year, she lost all the money she invested. She lost all her money and even owed some debts. Li Hongjun was unlucky and had to share the debts with her. He was furious and quickly divorced her. In order to repay the debts, he lived a very poor life. Yao Shui saw that the real estate and electronics industry were starting to take off, but she had no capital and no ability. Her eyes were red with jealousy. At this time, she saw the news report about Chu Dongxing and Huo Wenkai. The road was repaired, and the school was also built. The news report specially reported that Chu Dongxing, Chu Xiang, and Huo Wenkai were cutting the ribbon together. That school was a large school that included both junior high and high school. Students could board or attend day school. The teachers were very good. In the future, the students in the villages around Dawn Village could go to school easily. The road was directly connected to the city. In the future, everything in the village could be exported more smoothly. Dawn Village had already become the richest village. Chu Xiang had brought so much wealth to her hometown. The villagers were very grateful to her. Even the children who had just talked to knew that the most powerful person in their hometown was Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang had done a lot of research on this land. She had mastered all the knowledge she had learned and had completely completed her apprenticeship. What she had given back to this land was also praised by everyone. She had led everyone to reap benefits and happiness. She had done a very successful job. After she and Huo Wenkai finished their work, they decided to go to the coastal city to start a new development. Everything there was different from their hometown. They would definitely have new breakthroughs. However, before that, they had to go back to the capital. Lu Feng and the Hua family had not seen them for several years. They missed them very much. When Chu Xiang returned to the capital, her sister-in-law happened to be in labor. It was very difficult to give birth to twins. Moreover, the medical conditions in the 1980s were not very advanced. She insisted on accompanying her sister-in-law to the hospital to help with the delivery. She always paid attention to the situation of her sister-in-law and the two children. Fortunately, her sister-in-law and the twins were very healthy. Chu Xiang kindly asked the nurse to put the two children in her arms and personally carried them out of the operating room to Chu Dongsheng. "Brother, look at the two children. They are so cute. I came out first. In the future, I will protect my sister, just like you have always protected me." Chu Dongsheng suppressed his excitement and touched the faces of the two children. He smiled and said, "I am a father. I have two children." The nurse pushed the pregnant woman out. Chu Dongsheng hurriedly leaned on the bed and pushed her. He held his wife's hand and smiled gently. "Thank you for your hard work. In the future, I will listen to you. If you ask me to go east, I will go east. If you ask me to go west, I will go east." Lu Feng and the in-laws laughed out loud when they heard this silly words. In the end, the twins went to tease their grandchildren. Chu Xiang and Huo Wenkai walked to the ward with a smile. Chu Xiang saw Yao Shui waiting in line for a checkup from afar. She just glanced at her, and then went into the ward. Yao Shui looked at them in a daze. Chu Dongsheng married that woman again. Although Chu Xiang and that woman were not classmates in this life, Chu Dongsheng still met her, married her, had twins with her, and was very gentle to her. Why didn't Chu Dongsheng love her? Why did she still have to face such a scene after her rebirth? She stood alone in the hospital. It was as if she had returned to her previous life. Everything was the same. She could not change anything. She was even worse than in her previous life. After her sister-in-law finished her confinement, Chu Xiang set off for the coastal city with Huo Wenkai. Chu Dongsheng was very busy with the real estate business. Huo Wenkai was also optimistic about the Lingzi market and was ready to start a new life. As for Chu Xiang, she planned to study new agricultural technologies in the different land and environment of the coastal city. Huo Wenkai held Chu Xiang's hand and walked barefoot by the sea. When the sun set, he wrapped his arms around her waist. "I am so lucky to have met you. It seems that my life has a more determined direction." Chu Xiang kissed his chin and asked with a smile, "Then let's go down together? It's never too late to learn. In the future, we will be a pair of white-haired old pedants." Huo Wenkai smiled. "Okay, I will accompany you in whatever you want to do. Wherever you go to do research, I will go there to do business. We will travel the world together." Chu Xiang leaned in his arms and looked at the seaweed that was washed over by the sea. It was not a bad thing to spend a lifetime doing research. In the future, she would be proficient in another skill. Perhaps in other worlds she could make this skill shine. Chapter 320. Chu Xiang lived a very fulfilling life. She had researched almost everything that could be researched in agriculture and animal husbandry. When she was 90 years old, she had already been given the highest honor by the country and recorded in the history books. She could be considered to be quite successful. But she only studied this out of interest. In a different world and a different life, She didn't plan on continuing her research. She wanted to take a break and have some fun. The universe mirror had promised when it brought her here. This time, it won't be a hard time and it won't be a poor family. Master, don't worry, you will be a rich and beautiful woman in this life. When Chu Xiang saw the body she was going to wear, she found that her identity this time was indeed a rich and beautiful woman. But this rich and beautiful woman was a bit of a loss. The previous host's father was the richest man in China. She had been kidnapped by human traffickers and was only found when she was an adult. Her frugal habits made her unable to adapt to the life of a rich person. She didn't spend any money on herself and used the card her father gave her to support her boyfriend's business. Who knew that her boyfriend would be successful and he would attract more and more women? Her boyfriend and them would have all kinds of fate, coincidence, unwillingness, and other reasons. They would all maintain an ambiguous relationship, making the women jealous like they were in a harem. The previous host, the only official girlfriend, was naturally targeted by all of them. This directly led to the previous host's mysterious death. She didn't have the chance to enjoy the luxurious life of a rich man's daughter. She also didn't have the chance to enjoy the gratitude and love her boyfriend's success brought her before she died. She died at the hands of the women her boyfriend attracted. When Chu Xianglai arrived in this world, the previous host was driving a car. The brakes had failed and she was getting sleepy. Her mind wasn't clear and she couldn't think clearly. She saw her friends crossing the road after school, and she quickly turned the steering wheel, hitting a street lamp and flipping the car. When Chu Xiang saw her soul, she was still very confused. Chu Xiang asked her if she was willing to make a deal. She looked at her new car and couldn't come back to her senses. She muttered, "That was the car Fei gave me. How can this be? How can this be?" Chu Xiang asked again, "Are you willing to give me this identity? I'll give you a good reincarnation. You're already dead. If you don't trade with me, you won't be able to come back to life." This time, the original owner came back to her senses. She still couldn't accept the fact that she was dead. Her heart was in a mess, but she understood that there was only one chance. If she didn't agree, she wouldn't know what the next life would be like. If she agreed, she could be reincarnated and be a human again. And it didn't matter to her whether she gave the identity to Chu Xiang or not. The original owner thought for a long time until the ambulance came to give her first aid. Then she asked Chu Xiang why he wanted her identity, and whether it would hurt the people she cared about. Chu Xiang smiled. "I'm just living on borrowed skin. If others don't provoke me, I won't target them. But if someone provokes me, of course I'll return the favor. You agreed? Any last wishes?" The original owner said blankly, "I recognized my father, but we didn't spend much time together. It's a bit regretful, but it's not that regretful. Fei Yu and I were childhood sweethearts. My dream has always been to marry him and live happily with him. But the more women he has around him, the more times he apologizes to me. I'm getting more and more unhappy. I don't seem to want to be with him that much. So, I don't have any last wishes." Chu Xiang nodded and signed a contract with her. She let the heaven and earth mirror send her soul away. She entered the body that was being rescued. The injured person's heartbeat suddenly recovered. The medical staff heaved a sigh of relief and hurriedly sent her to the hospital to settle her down. They also contacted her family. Chu Xiang struggled to open her eyes. She grabbed the doctor's hand and said weakly, "Call the police. Zheng Feiyu killed me." "What? Someone killed you? Who?" The doctor didn't hear clearly. He leaned close to her and asked again, "Zheng Feiyu." Chu Xiang closed her eyes and let the heaven and earth mirror look at her. The doctor was still shocked. Zheng Feiyu was very famous in Beijing. He was the youngest and most talented gem gambler and jewelry magnate. In the past year, there were many reports about Zheng Feiyu on the internet. Other than his outstanding performance in the business world, there were also rumors about his relationship with the daughter of the richest man, his scandal with popular actresses, and his purchase of a gaming team to support the gaming industry. Even a busy doctor like him knew about it. The doctor looked at Chu Xiang carefully and suddenly asked the nurse next to him, "Look at her. Doesn't she look like the daughter of the richest man? Zheng Feiyu's girlfriend." The nurse was stunned. She went forward to help Chu Xiang clean the blood on her face. Then she found the photos taken by the paparazzi online and compared them. She exclaimed, "It's her. She's really the daughter of the richest man. Then should we inform her father?" "Of course. Once we know who her family is, we'll find a way to contact them. I'll have to inform the police." The doctor suddenly felt that this was a fight between the rich and powerful. Every minute and second of delay could affect the outcome. Chu Xiang asked him to call the police. Of course, he had to act immediately. For such a car accident, the traffic police had already arrived at the scene. However, they had procedures and wouldn't immediately check the car. After the doctor reported that it was a murder, the police immediately took it seriously. At the same time, the hospital also contacted the richest man, Chu Qingji. Chu Qingji was more sensitive to the words Chu Xiang left before she passed out. He immediately asked his legal team and special assistant to deal with this matter. He closely watched the process of the hospital's examination and car accident investigation. No one was allowed to tamper with it, and no delay or mistakes were allowed. He himself also rushed to the hospital as fast as he could. Before Chu Xiang passed out, she found a chance to take the best medicine in her space. After sleeping, she felt much better than when she was rescued. When she woke up, she saw Chu Qingji reading documents on the sofa. His assistant was standing next to him. There were also 2 bodyguards outside the heaven and earth mirror. The room was very quiet. Except for the sound of pages turning, there was no sound. The heaven and earth mirror reported, "Zheng Feiyu came." The bodyguard stopped him before he got close. They didn't allow him to disturb your rest. After that, Chu Qingji called the police to take him away. He suspects that he murdered you. Then the evidence has been preserved. Master, the evidence has been preserved to the greatest extent. Chu Qingji seems to value his daughter very much. He told his special assistant that as long as his daughter has something important to do, he must report it immediately. Therefore, the special assistant went in and told Chu Qingji about this matter when he was in a meeting. He immediately rushed to the hospital after the meeting. He also arranged for his special assistant and legal team to monitor the investigation process. Chu Xiang raised her eyebrows. She was very satisfied with the current situation. She moved slightly. Chu Qingji immediately noticed the movement and looked over. Seeing that she was awake, he dropped the document and quickly walked to the bed to see her. "Xiang, how do you feel? Where does it hurt?" Chu Xiang raised her hand to her abdomen and said weakly, "My stomach hurts." "Call the doctor," Chu Qingji ordered. He sat on the chair and touched Chu Xiang's hair. He comforted her in a calm voice. "Don't be afraid. I've found a few experts to treat you. You'll be fine soon." Chu Xiang nodded and frowned. "My car. Feiyu gave it to me. The brakes didn't work. Also, I just met Feiyu before the accident. We had tea together. Then I became more and more sleepy while driving. The brakes couldn't stop. I was very scared, but my mind was blank. I saw a lot of children in front of me. I was afraid that I would hit them, so I could only make a sharp turn. Then the car flipped over. It's okay. It's okay. Xiang, don't be afraid." Chu Qingji hugged her and patted her gently. "It's okay now. No one was hurt. You handled it very well. It's really very good. I'll ask someone to investigate the car. Just take care of yourself. Don't worry about anything else." The experts came. Chu Xiang seemed to have just remembered. She took Chu Qingji's hand and said, "Dad, Li Fei was also drinking tea with me. Could it be her?" Chu Qingji patted her hand and said softly, "I know. I'll ask someone to investigate. Don't worry. Don't think too much. Let the doctor examine you. Be good." Chu Xiang nodded and let go of his hand. She answered the questions of the experts and completed the examination. The original Chu Xiang had died from internal bleeding. There were only some superficial wounds on her body. Chu Xiang had used a little bit of spiritual energy to repair her damaged organs. She had also taken the best medicine. Now her situation had stabilized and she had passed the critical period. The preliminary examination showed that there were no sequelae. She just needed to take care of herself. Chu Qingji was still worried, So he asked the hospital to do a comprehensive examination on Chu Xiang. Combined with the examination report during the rescue, it was confirmed that Chu Xiang had taken sleeping pills while driving. It was pure luck that she could survive such a serious accident. It was lucky that she could recover from the injury in 3 months without any sequelae. Chu Qingji only had one child. Besides feeling lucky, he was also afraid. He was even more angry with Zhang Feiyu and Li Fei, who might have killed his daughter. He sent someone to investigate all the things Zhang Feiyu and Li Fei had done during this period, all the people they had contacted, and all the interests involved. When he learned that Li Fei was pregnant with Zhang Feiyu's child, his face immediately became gloomy. He was still in the ward. Chu Xiang saw his expression and asked him, "What's wrong? Did you find something bad?" Chu Qingji looked up at her and lied. "No, I'm still investigating. Don't think about these things now. Take care of yourself first." Chu Xiang sighed softly. "Dad, if it was really Zhang Feiyu and Li Fei who did it, don't be merciful. Send them to prison." Chu Qingji, such a secretive person, couldn't help but show a surprised expression. He walked to the bedside and asked, "Last month, you took Zhang Feiyu home to see me. It seemed that you wanted to marry him. Now, is it because of this car accident?" Chu Xiang shook her head. After a moment of silence, she smiled bitterly. "Dad, I'm so stupid. I gave Zhang Feiyu so much money to make a fortune, but he took the money and betrayed me again and again. I've forgiven him too many times. This time, whether he wanted to hurt me or not, he couldn't get away with cheating. I don't want to forgive him. In the future, I'll forget about him." Chu Qingji was too busy. He used to appreciate Zhang Feiyu's strength, but he didn't pay attention to Zhang Feiyu's situation in terms of women. When he heard Chu Xiang's words, his face turned ugly. He patted Chu Xiang on the shoulder and said, "Don't worry. Dad won't let anyone bully you." Chapter 321. Chu Qingji cared about his daughter very much, but he was the richest man in the country. Every rest time was calculated, and he didn't have extra time to accompany Chu Xiang. He stayed in the hospital to look after Chu Xiang, which was the time he had to stay up all night. When Chu Xiang's situation was stable, he had to go back to the company for a meeting and go abroad to meet his partners. Chu Xiang was also busy when she was running her own business. She understood him very well and told him to just focus on his work. She promised that she would take good care of herself and not think too much. Chu Qingji carefully observed Chu Xiang and found that Chu Xiang just liked to be in a daze and didn't cry because of love. Only then did he feel relieved. He left the bodyguard and the second assistant to take care of Chu Xiang and went to the company to work. Less than half an hour after Chu Qingji left, Zhang Feiyu and Li Fei came to the hospital. The bodyguard came in and asked, "Sister, Zhang Feiyu and Li Fei are here to visit you." Chu Xiang thought for a moment and nodded. "Let them in. You come in too. Stay by the bed and don't let anyone get close to me." "Yes." The two bodyguards came in and stood between the door and the bed. They looked at Zhang Feiyu and Li Fei expressionlessly. Zhang Feiyu was stunned and asked in surprise, Xiang, what are you doing? Do you suspect that I want to hurt you like those policemen? Why do you let them stand between us?" Chu Xiang looked at him coldly. "You gave me the car. No one else has driven it. The brakes can't have malfunctioned by themselves, right? I don't want to doubt you, but the facts are here. I have to believe it." Zhang Feiyu was really shocked. "You? No, what was this all about? I'm crazy. Why would I hurt you? We grew up together and were childhood sweethearts. Don't you know how I feel about you? Xiang, I also ordered a diamond ring to propose to you. It's the 2nd anniversary of our relationship at the end of the month. I even booked the hotel. If you don't believe me, you can check it out. You're the person I love the most. What reason do I have to harm you?" When Li Fei heard the words proposal and favorite, she tightened her grip on her bag and took a step forward indignantly. She pointed at Chu Xiang and shouted, "Chu Xiang, you've gone too far. What kind of heart do you have to treat an accident as murder to frame us? Yes, you drank tea with me and Feiyu before the accident, but so what? Wasn't it just a coincidence that I bumped into you guys and had a chat with Feiyu? You actually dared to fool around with the police and caused us to be taken to the police station for questioning. You're too unreasonable. Why are you so paranoid? I think you must have been driving without paying attention. Are you trying to find an excuse to get yourself off the hook? Zheng Feiyu tugged at Xiang Xiang and disagreed. Fei, don't be like that. She's not that kind of person. She must have been frightened this time. I apologize to you on her behalf. She's still injured, so don't be so loud. Li Fei choked. She didn't want to get angry at Zheng Feiyu, so her face turned red. Chu Xiang found it funny. After all this, Zheng Feiyu really treated the original owner as his true love. No other woman could argue with her no matter what. Otherwise, Zheng Feiyu wouldn't let them off. What was this? Did he treat himself as an emperor? Or was he giving face to the original owner because of their childhood friendship? Wasn't he a proper stud? He was the same as those men in ancient times who had multiple wives. It was just that Zheng Feiyu had to come up with some excuse to cover up his shame. He had completely forgotten the promise he made to the original owner. Such a shameless person was even more disgusting than those who openly had 3 wives and 4 concubines. Chu Xiang waited for them to finish before looking at them and saying, I didn't make it up. I was telling the truth when I took the statement. The police were going to investigate anyway. Now they're just asking you to take a statement. Why are you so against it? Did you really do something you shouldn't have done, and are afraid of being found out? Zheng Feiyu frowned. Of course not. I just don't want you to misunderstand me. Uncle also misunderstood me. Yesterday, he asked the bodyguards to stop me from seeing you, and asked the police to take me to the police station. Xiang, do you know? I spent a lot of effort to suppress the bad news. Otherwise, today's headlines would be guessing what crime I committed. Chu Xiang leaned against the bed and pulled the quilt on her body. She looked at the 4 needle on the back of her hand and raised her eyes. I almost died. The internal bleeding was so serious. Now I'm in so much pain that I don't even want to talk. But you're thinking about the impact of the bad news on you? Zheng Feiyu, we've known each other for too long. I didn't even notice that I'm not the most important person in your heart. You've been married for so long, but you haven't even asked me if I'm still in pain. When did you become like this? Zheng Feiyu was stunned. Even Li Fei was stunned. She had always been jealous of Chu Xiang. It turned out that Chu Xiang wasn't that important in Zheng Feiyu's heart. Zheng Feiyu really didn't care about Chu Xiang. Zheng Feiyu said anxiously, Xiang, why would you think that? I swear to God, the person I love the most is you. How can I not care about you? Wasn't this the end of the conversation? I was thinking about your injury on the way here. I didn't ask about those things just now. How are you? I heard from the doctor that your condition has stabilized. Is it still very painful? What's wrong with them? I know a few specialists. I'll get someone to take a look at you. There's no need. Chu Xiang raised her hand. My father has already asked a specialist to examine me. I just said something I didn't want to say, but you still want me to continue accompanying you. How can I believe that you care about me? Li Fei's eyes were full of jealousy. Don't push your luck. How many men are as loyal as Feiyu? Do you have to be treated like a dog? Li Fei, what are you talking about? You can go first. I'll stay here with Xiang. Zheng Feiyu couldn't figure out why the gentle and sensible Chu Xiang had become so difficult to deal with. Li Fei was still causing trouble by the side, which made him very impatient. Chu Xiang looked at Li Fei, and then looked at Zheng Feiyu. She suddenly laughed out loud. Dog. Are you talking about yourself? I've never understood. Zheng Feiyu and I are a couple. Why are you always in front of him? Now you're using a very appropriate word. Aren't you just a dog? Actually, no one likes a dog. Look at you licking him. Doesn't he not care about you? He's right. You can go first. What has our relationship got to do with you? Chu Xiang. You're courting death. Li Fei was furious. She suddenly rushed to the bed, as if she wanted to hit Chu Xiang. The 2 bodyguards reached out at the same time. After a few rounds of fighting with Li Fei, they pressed Li Fei to the ground without hesitation. Zheng Feiyu took a deep breath and rubbed his aching forehead. Xiang, Li Fei has always been straightforward and impulsive. Don't argue with her. She didn't mean to offend you. But you just now, your words were really too harsh. How come I never knew that you could say such harsh words? I know you're sad and it's not good, but you can't vent your feelings like this. Chu Xiang wanted to break up with him without arousing suspicion. Naturally, she wouldn't let go of this opportunity. Hearing his stiff tone, her face turned cold. She stared at Zheng Feiyu and said, "Do you feel sorry for her? Who is she to you? 3, 4, 5, 6? Xiang. Chu Xiang, you're bullshitting." Chu Xiang spread her hands. "Listen, the words you're defending Sister Li Fei are much more vulgar than mine. Why don't you mind? Is it because we've known each other for more than 10 years and you're impatient? The wildflowers outside are always more fragrant, right? No wonder Bai Shui, Zhou Sisi, Chao Na, Judy, Li Fei, these women came one after another and dared to provoke me. Do you want to break up? Do you want to change a new girlfriend? You want to choose among them, right? Then you have to break up with me before you can choose. Otherwise, are you choosing a concubine?" Li Fei was shocked and angry. How dare Chu Xiang humiliate her like this? She was the daughter of a gangster. How could she lack a concubine? And those women also had the courage to face Chu Xiang? Could it be that they were like her, secretly together with Zheng Feiyu? Zheng Feiyu never expected that Chu Xiang would say such words. He was shocked for a while before he reacted. "What are you talking about? You. Well, I know you suspect that I hurt you. Someone must have whispered something in your ear, right? That's why you keep quarreling with me like a hedgehog." He seemed to be unable to bear it. He held his forehead with one hand and paced back and forth in the ward with the other hand on his waist. He suppressed his anger and said, "It's my fault. I've wronged you. But I only love you. I've told you about them before. I didn't hide anything from you. You know I have my difficulties. Forget it. You have to recover first. You're in a bad mood now. We'll talk about it when you're better." Chu Xiang had seen too many people. No one could hide their thoughts from her. She deliberately quarreled with them and observed their expressions and reactions. She was basically sure that Zheng Feiyu was not the one who hurt the original owner. It was Li Fei. Then she thought that Li Fei was the daughter of a gangster. It made sense that she had such courage and a ruthless heart. Zheng Feiyu did have feelings for the original owner, but these feelings were limited. She was afraid that it was mixed with the fact that she was the daughter of a rich man. Zheng Feiyu really wanted to marry her as his only wife. He had a clear conscience about the car accident. Naturally, he felt that Chu Xiang was making trouble for no reason. His attitude gradually became bad. Chu Xiang said coldly, "Recently, I have to recuperate. I need to rest quietly. I don't want to see anyone. Don't come again. If there's anything, wait for the police to investigate clearly. I've lived well for 20 years and haven't offended anyone. The greatest malice I've suffered was brought by your women. Whether it's you or them, the culprit is you. Zheng Feiyu, I'm tired. I don't want to see my boyfriend flirting with other women in the future. Let's break up. Whether you hurt me or not, I don't want to be with you anymore." Chu Xiang's words were too clear. Not only was Zheng Feiyu shocked, even Li Fei, who was struggling, looked up at Chu Xiang in amazement. She didn't understand how things suddenly became like this. Zheng Feiyu was shocked and angry. "I don't agree." Chu Xiang didn't let him continue. "Breaking up is not divorce. There's no need to go through any procedures. Break up is break up. Don't come to me again in the future." She raised her chin to the bodyguard. "Drive them out." Xiang. Chu Xiang. Zheng Feiyu was good at fighting, but he was no match for the bodyguard who was trained in the special forces. He was soon driven out. Chu Xiang waved her hand to call her special assistant. "Help me with the discharge procedures. The hospital is too boring. Remember to buy me the latest game console." Chapter 322. The assistant calls Chu Qingji to report. Of course, Chu Qingji doesn't agree to let Chu Xiang leave the hospital. With such a serious injury, if something happens to her at home, there is no medical equipment to treat her. However, Chu Xiang acts like a spoiled child and promises to follow the doctor's advice to recuperate. Chu Qingji, who feels his daughter's tenderness for the first time, surrenders and asks the assistant to do everything well. The richest man is not only rich, but also has a huge network. Chu Qingji hires all the experts with high salaries to live in the villa of the Chu family until Chu Xiang recovers. So Chu Xiang leaves the hospital. Li Fei went back unwillingly and called a few people to disguise themselves as patients to enter the hospital one after another. She wanted to cause trouble for Chu Xiang, but in the end, she missed the opportunity to teach Chu Xiang a lesson. She was so angry that she almost exploded. Chu Xiang asks the assistant to pay someone to watch outside her ward. Soon after she arrives home, the assistant receives a call and tells Chu Xiang about the situation. The assistant looks at Chu Xiang's expressionless face and hesitates. Xiang, don't think too much. The most important thing now is to rest well. I will report this matter to the chairman, and he will deal with it. Chu Xiang nods and smiles. I'm fine. I just think it's true. It seems that Li Fei is the one who wants to hurt me. She is indeed a gangster. She does it without hesitation. I'll have to trouble you to tell my dad to hire 2 powerful female bodyguards to protect me 24/7 from now on. I'm afraid that Li Fei will hurt me again and again if her plan fails. Okay, then you have a rest. I will call the chairman now. Chu Xiang waits until the assistant leaves and she is alone in the room. She quickly takes a pill from the space and takes it. Even if there is a group of experts outside, the treatment effect will not be better than her own medicine. It is more reliable for her to treat herself at home. After taking the medicine, she asks the heaven and earth mirror to look at her. She sits cross-legged and closes her eyes to feel the Reiki of this world. There is Reiki in this world. Although it is very thin, it is indeed Ying. This means that she can cultivate and use the Reiki to heal injuries. Chu Xiang was a little happy. She found a cultivation method that focused on attacking and started to cultivate. She was injured and didn't have much spiritual aura, so it was rather difficult for her to draw spiritual aura into her body. She cultivated for 4 whole months before she could draw spiritual energy into her body and guide it to nourish her internal organs. Spiritual aura was even more effective than medicine. With spiritual aura, her exhaustion from the past 4 months had been swept away. However, she had been alone in the room for too long. In order to prevent her heart from decaying, she stopped and sent a WeChat voice message to her assistant. Assistant Chun, I've woken up. I'm a little hungry. Please ask the kitchen to make me some food and bring it over. Also, install the game console for me. Special Assistant Chun replied quickly and asked the female caregiver to enter the room to take care of Chu Xiang. Soon after, dinner was delivered. Assistant Chen stood at the end of the bed and asked with concern, Xiang, how are you feeling? Are you feeling unwell? Chu Xiang shook her head. Maybe it's because I'm relaxed after returning home. My mood is also good. I feel more comfortable than when I was in the hospital. That's good. Special Assistant Chen breathed a sigh of relief and said, An hour ago, Zheng Feiyu sent a few boxes of jewelry and a raw stone. I made the decision to return them all. Hearing this, Chu Xiang was silent for a moment. Then she praised. You did the right thing. Later, inform everyone that Zheng Feiyu, Li Fei, those women, and everyone around them are not allowed to enter the Chu family's house again. They are not allowed to contact them in private or receive anything. They are all enemies of the Chu family. Also, Special Assistant Chen, please help me delete all the things related to them on my social media accounts. Also, throw away all the things related to them at home. If you want to cut ties with them, do it cleanly. People who could be the special assistant of the richest man were not simple characters. They were especially good at reading people's expressions. After this interaction, Special Assistant Chen had already determined that Chu Xiang really wanted to cut ties with Zheng Feiyu, so he did not hesitate to take the job and take away Chu Xiang's phone. Chu Xiang ate while watching a comedy movie. Special Assistant Chen quietly followed Chu Xiang's request and deleted all the things that should not be on her social media account. He also blocked all the phone numbers related to those people. Not long after, the young master of the Ji family, a family friend of the Chu family, video called. Chu Xiang picked up. It just so happened that she was amused by the movie. Her face was full of smiles, and she did not look like someone who had just fallen out of love. Ji Haifan spat out a mouthful of soda. He widened his eyes in shock and said, Chu Xiang, are you crazy? Why are you still smiling foolishly after the car accident? Chu Xiang rolled her eyes at him. What do you mean by smiling foolishly? I'm watching a movie. What do you want? Ji Haifan looked at her and asked in confusion. Are you not good at anything? I heard that you were discharged from the hospital. Why are you still smiling? Wait, did you report that Zheng guy to the police? You deleted your WeChat moments and broke up with him? Chu Xiang's eyes were on the TV. She nodded casually. We broke up. You don't have to be polite to him in the future. We have a grudge. Ji Haifan looked at Chu Xiang and suddenly smiled. He touched his chin and said, Why do I feel that you've changed somewhere? Interesting. I'll go and see you. Are you at home? Yeah, remember to bring me something fun. I'm going to rest at home for a long time. Okay, I'll go over now. Wait for me. After the video call ended, Chu Xiang did not take it seriously and continued watching the comedy movie. Special Assistant Chen hesitated. Ji Haifan likes to play around. Will he disturb your rest if he comes over at this time? Chu Xiang waved her hand. It's fine. I slept all afternoon and am feeling bored. Besides, I just broke up with someone to play with and distract me. It'll be easier for me to get through the breakup period. If he messes around, I'll chase him out. Special Assistant Chen thought about it and did not say anything else. He sat quietly on the sofa and went online to do business. Ji Haifan came very quickly and rushed into Chu Xiang's room. He was dressed handsomely, and his looks were comparable to a top idol's. He even had the aura of a rich young master. As soon as he entered, he looked at Chu Xiang's complexion and smiled. You look good. Was the car accident serious? Chu Xiang smiled. The car accident was serious. I was lucky and miraculously survived. It was internal bleeding. It's not obvious. What about me? Ji Haifan sat on the chair that the servant had brought over and pointed at the boxes that the servant had brought in. The latest games, brain-burning toys, Lego, and a smart robot butler. How is it? Aren't I a good friend? Chu Xiang looked at Ji Haifan's happy face and gave him a half-smile. Why do I feel that you're quite happy? Are you gloating over my breakup? Ji Haifan touched his nose guiltily and coughed softly. What do you mean gloating? That sounds bad. I'm happy for you. I'm giving you a gift to help you celebrate. You've gotten rid of a poor man. Congratulations on being single again. You'll be free from now on. The fun things in the world are waiting for you. Chu Xiang knew that Ji Haifan was a rich young master born with a silver spoon in his mouth. The elders in his family were in business and politics. He had been doted on since he was young. He and Zheng Feiyu, who had risen from the grassroots, had always disliked each other. There were always signs of conflict. This time, when he saw that Zheng Feiyu had been dumped by her, he was overjoyed. Chu Xiang and Ji Haifan were now in the same country. Neither of them liked Zheng Feiyu. Now that Ji Haifan was here, she could use him. Play games with me and see if these are fun. Don't mention those irrelevant people in the future. Ji Haifan also liked to play. He immediately took off his jacket and asked someone to move the armchair to the side of the bed. He sat cross-legged on it and picked up the game controller. What are you playing? Since you're injured, I'll listen to you today. Hey, you really have to get better soon. My old lady likes you a lot. She'll be angry if she can't see you for a few months. Isn't it good to be in a good mood? If you play with me, I'll definitely recover quickly. When I'm better, I'll go visit Grandma Ji. Chu Xiang used the main controller to choose a game, and quickly chose a horror game. This one. I haven't played it in a long time. Come, let's start. Ji Haifan turned to look at her in surprise. He had never expected that Chu Xiang, who had always been an obedient girl, would be interested in horror games. He controlled the game character to walk in front of Chu Xiang, afraid that Chu Xiang would be scared. In the end, he didn't expect Chu Xiang to be so good at games. Her skills were also very good. She ran in front of him and defeated an enemy in a few moves. She even pushed open the door and walked into the dark dungeon without hesitation. She wasn't afraid at all. He sighed. Women change their temperament when they fall out of love. Don't tell me you've been hit too hard? Zheng Feiyu, that Wang'an, I've long known that he's not a good person. He's clearly in a relationship with you, but he still dares to fool around outside. I've bumped into him more than once. Also, he got drunk, and that celebrity. Chu Xiang was listening. Seeing that he had stopped, she felt strange. What's wrong with that celebrity? Why aren't you playing? Ji Haifan shook his head. No. If you regret it and reconcile with that Zheng guy in a few days, I won't be a good person. You grew up with him. Your childhood sweethearts. TSK. Your relationship is not ordinary. Chu Xiang snorted. It's impossible to reconcile. Why would I look for a boyfriend in the trash? I like the sound of that. Isn't he just a piece of trash? Does he really think that he can start a harem just by earning some money? Haha, now that you're in trouble, your mind is clear? I have a whole new level of respect for you. Ji Haifan was overjoyed. He had become much closer to Chu Xiang. He even started to worry for Chu Xiang. Hey, you gave that Zheng guy a lot of money previously, right? You have to get it back. Although you don't care about that little bit of money, if this kind of person uses your money, won't you make him spit it out? Chu Xiang shrugged. I'm recuperating. I can't be bothered with this. I'll get my dad to deal with him later. Ji Haifan was happy again. He gave her a thumbs up. You're really relying on your dad. I'll help you say my dad is Chu Qingji. Ha ha ha, that's a good way of thinking. Uncle Chu will definitely toy with him until he's dizzy and disoriented. He'll make him spit out everything, including interest. Chu Xiang looked at him speechless. Do you have to be so happy? If you want to see Zheng Feiyu in trouble, why don't you put in some effort? Isn't your family in the jewelry business? Go against him. Yo, no matter who you offend, don't offend a woman. You used to protect him and help him in all aspects. Now that you've broken up with him, you want to trample him to death. How scary. But who asked him to injure you like this? Serves him right. Ji Haifan joked. He narrowed his eyes and seriously considered how to deal with Zheng Feiyu. Zheng Feiyu suddenly emerged and stole his business. He even wanted to seduce his sister and his chief designer. He might as well take advantage of his illness and trample him to death. Chapter 323. Ji Haifan was very tempted by Chu Xiang's words. He had tried to target Zheng Feiyu before, but Zheng Feiyu had humiliated him in front of everyone every time. Now that Chu Xiang was by his side, if he could trick this big sister into targeting Zheng Feiyu with him, Zheng Feiyu would be humiliated no matter what. Chu Xiang was Zheng Feiyu's childhood sweetheart and infatuated ex-girlfriend. Ji Haifan thought about it and moved closer to Chu Xiang. He nudged Chu Xiang's arm with his elbow. Hey, Zheng Feiyu caused you to be so seriously injured. You have to get back at him, right? I'll help you. Let's make it impossible for him to survive in Beijing. Let's make him run away like a stray dog. How about that? Chu Xiang said casually. Why should I waste my time dealing with a piece of trash? Ji Haifan was stunned and turned to look at her. Didn't you ask me to deal with him just now? Now you think it's a waste of time to deal with him? Ji Haifan's distraction caused the two of them to die in the game. Chu Xiang turned to him, raised her eyebrows and chuckled. Don't you have nothing better to do? I'm just finding something for you to do. Don't try to fool me. You don't want to tangle with him, so you want to kill him with a borrowed knife? Ji Haifan narrowed his eyes and snorted. You wish. No way. I can help you trample him to death, but you have to do it with me. Chu Xiang tilted her head. Why are you helping me? He stole your business. Isn't it natural for you to deal with him? If I do it with you, then I'm helping you, right? Helping each other, helping each other. Our two families are so close. Why do we have to draw such a clear line? Ji Haifan leaned over with a cheeky smile. By the way, if you don't want to waste time, what do you want to do after you recover? Study abroad? Work? Chu Xiang raised her index finger and shook it in front of him. Neither. I haven't lived a good life for more than 10 years. Now that I've survived, of course I want to enjoy life and experience all the good food and fun things. Otherwise, I don't deserve to be the daughter of the richest man. My dad gives me so much pocket money. Ji Haifan blinked a few times to make sure that he didn't hear wrong. He was at a loss for words. You think it's a waste of time to deal with that person, so you want to use your precious time to play? Fine, fine, fine. Go ahead and play. You are the daughter of the richest man. It just so happens that I don't know how to play other things. What do you want to play? I'll take you along. Why don't you come with me to embarrass that guy? At the very least, you have to get back the face I lost in the past, right? If you help me, I promise to take you to your heart's content. Can you do that? Sure, it's just a small matter. Is it worth it for you to be so serious? Come on, I've chosen a game. Let's play this one. Chu Xiang patted his arm and urged him to confirm the game. Ji Haifan had always thought that he was quite smart, but now that he had stayed with Chu Xiang for a while, he felt that his brain couldn't keep up. Why did this woman keep going on and on? So what if it changed? He almost couldn't react in time. However, it could be seen that Chu Xiang really didn't take Zheng Feiyu seriously. It didn't matter if they met or stepped on him. She didn't care at all. That was good. That way, he wouldn't have to worry about Chu Xiang going back on her word at the critical moment. Ji Haifan was happy. The corners of his mouth curled up. In his mind, he was already fantasizing about exposing Zheng Feiyu's true colors and waking up his inexplicably lovey-dovey sister. Chu Xiang glanced at his silly look from the corner of her eye and found it amusing. This eldest young master was such a naive and sweet person. Although he was quite smart and quick-witted, he could tell at a glance that the Ji family was harmonious and lived in a simple environment. That was why the young master could be so pure. If a soul had a color, she felt that Ji Haifan's soul should be the purest white. She could already foresee that the future would be very exciting for such a silly and sweet person to run into her. She wouldn't be bored recuperating at home. The two of them played the horror game for more than 2 hours, and they were still in high spirits when it was already dark. In the end, Special Assistant Chen couldn't stand it anymore and reminded them, "Doctor, you need to rest more while you're recuperating. How about we play again tomorrow?" Ji Haifan slapped his forehead. "Look at me. I've been playing so much that I forgot to look at the time. Why is it so late? Chu Xiang, I'll be leaving first. I'll tell you what. The boxes I brought are all very fun. Don't move today. Listen to the doctor and rest well. Play again tomorrow. If you delay your recovery because of the things I brought, my grandma will beat me up. Listen to the doctor." Chu Xiang laughed and said, "I'm not a child. Why would I need you? I want to get better more than anyone else. I'm in a hurry to go out and play." Okay. You're not a child. I don't know who forced me to play a game or a horror game. Will you be so scared that you can't sleep tonight? Ji Haifan was amused at the thought of that scene. You're still injured. Why are you so restless? If you're scared at night, don't hold it in. Remember to call for help. Chu Xiang rolled her eyes at him and asked the nurse to help her lie down to rest. She waved her hand and said, "Go away. I'm not scared. I've been alone at home since I was 5. I'm not even afraid of thunder or electricity. Why would I be scared of this? Don't be so scared that you can't sleep. Go back and say hello to Grandma Ji for me. I'm fine. I'll visit her later." Ji Haifan curled his lips and thought she was being stubborn. "You'd better rest well. You almost died from internal bleeding. You'll have to rest for at least 3 months. Don't think about playing. I'm leaving. I'll visit you again when I'm free." It was indeed late. Chu Xiang still had to cultivate, so she sent everyone out with the excuse that she was tired. Most patients didn't have enough energy and needed more sleep. No one suspected anything when Chu Xiang said she wanted to sleep. Chu Xiang muted her phone, closed her eyes and began to cultivate. The Reiki as thin as hair slowly circulated in her body. It gradually sped up and became thicker as it absorbed more Reiki. Chu Xiang's tiredness from playing for 2 hours disappeared as she cultivated. Her body, which was aching faintly, also felt much better. Using Reiki to heal injuries was the best method. In just one night, her injuries were much better. Special Assistant Chen and the others paid special attention to Chu Xiang's situation. Early in the morning, several experts gave Chu Xiang a detailed examination while they were setting up the table. After the examination, they discussed for a while and said with a surprised expression, Sister Chu Xiang's body recovers very quickly. That is, the regeneration ability of her cells and the body's self-healing ability are very strong. It seems that she's recovering very well. Special Assistant Chen confirmed. Xiang's body will recover faster than expected, right? The leading expert nodded. That's right. Just like some people's wounds don't heal easily and are easy to inflame, while some people's wounds heal quickly and even grow well without leaving scars. Everyone's physique is different, so this kind of difference exists. However, according to our observation, Sister Chu Xiang's recovery speed is particularly fast, which is very different from most people. If nothing goes wrong, she may recover in 2 months or more. Fast recovery was not a miracle, so Special Assistant Chen was very happy to hear this and immediately called Chu Qingji to report it. A few specialists adjusted the medicine according to Chu Xiang's condition. Chu Xiang thanked them properly and secretly changed the medicine to the one she had concocted herself. She then treated herself. After breakfast, she picked up her phone and found that there were many missed calls, 6 of which were from Ji Haifan. Chu Xiang was a little surprised. Why did Ji Haifan call her in the middle of the night? Was he really scared? She ignored the calls from the unknown numbers and opened WeChat. She found that Ji Haifan had sent her a lot of voice messages, emojis and video requests. She was really scared. This person usually didn't like to play horror games at all. It was his first time playing yesterday, so he didn't think much of it. However, at night he felt uncomfortable in his big bedroom. Every time there was a sound, he felt a chill down his spine, so he came to harass Chu Xiang, thinking that they were in the same boat. Who knew that Chu Xiang didn't respond at all? Chu Xiang found it funny and sent him a WeChat message. What are you doing? Are you asleep? The other side immediately called her. Ji Haifan's fair skin had obvious dark circles under his eyes, and he looked at her with dull eyes. Chu Xiang, why didn't you answer the phone or reply to my messages last night? I thought we could forget about the game after chatting, but I was the only one who sent messages. Chu Xiang said matter-of-factly. That's because you were the only one who was scared. I wasn't scared. I turned my phone on silent and slept until dawn. Really? You weren't scared at all. Ji Haifan's eyes widened as he leaned closer to the camera and stared at Chu Xiang intently. Chu Xiang shook her head. Why would I lie to you? I'm used to being alone. Ji Haifan didn't know why, but when he heard her being so indifferent about being alone, his heart was suddenly touched, and he felt a little sorry for her. That game last night was so scary. He tossed and turned the entire night, unable to sleep. Everywhere he looked, he felt that something was wrong. However, Chu Xiang was already used to it. Then when Chu Xiang was alone at home, was she also scared like this? It was fine if he was an adult. But when Chu Xiang was 5 years old, would she be helpless and hopeless if she was this scared? Would she cry alone in the house? At that thought he said impulsively, I'll play with you today as well. It's too boring for you to be alone at home. When those words came out of his mouth, even he was stunned for a moment. He and Chu Xiang weren't good friends in the past, so they weren't that familiar with each other. Yesterday they were visiting her and watching the show. Wouldn't it be too intimate if he went to play with her today? He quickly added, We'll help each other. When you're better, we'll go and trample that Zhenggai together. Isn't that great? Chu Xiang curled her lips. Great. Come on then. Let's try out those brain-burning toys of yours today. Ji Haifan felt that Chu Xiang wanted to play with everything now that she had thought it through. Perhaps it was because her life had been tough in the past and she hadn't played with these things. His heart ached for Chu Xiang even more. She was clearly the only daughter of the richest man. How could she be kidnapped? She was even with Zheng Feiyu, that kind of childhood sweetheart. She had given the best years of her teenage years to him. He felt that it wasn't worth it for her. Ji Haifan quickly tidied himself up and drove to the Chu family's house without even eating breakfast. Chu Xiang was sitting in a wheelchair, fiddling with a Lubon lock in the garden. Ji Haifan smiled and walked to her side. He took off his sunglasses and bent down to look at the toy in her hand. How is it? This thing is brain-burning, right? As soon as he finished speaking, the Lubon lock opened. Chu Xiang had unlocked it. Chu Xiang looked up silently, pursed her lips, and threw the Lubon lock aside. It's okay. It's a puzzle toy. It won't be brain-burning. Ji-Haifan blinked. He was a toy, but he didn't buy a real toy. He had asked someone to look up the most brain-burning things and bought them. If the Lubon lock could be unlocked so easily, could it still be called a Lubon lock? He looked at the box of brain-burning toys at Chu Xiang's feet and picked up an SSQ Rubik's Cube. Try this. It's very difficult. Chu Xiang hadn't played with Rubik's Cubes before. All she had seen were square ones. This was the first time she had seen such a strange Rubik's Cube. She took it curiously and spun it while observing it. Ji-Haifan smiled. You don't know how to do this, do you? I think this is the most difficult Rubik's Cube on the internet. I haven't played with it before. Let me look up a tutorial for you and we can study it. I think this thing will be enough for us to study for the whole morning. Ji-Haifan sat on the bench next to Chu Xiang and turned on his phone to look up tutorials. There were many tutorials on the internet. Ji-Haifan was dazzled by them. It took him nearly 5 minutes to find one. Chu Xiang, look at this. This tutorial is the most reliable. It's very detailed. He raised his head and saw the completed Rubik's Cube in Chu Xiang's hand. He was so shocked that he was stunned. You pieced this together yourself? Chu Xiang threw the Rubik's Cube into his arms. If I didn't put it together myself, did I put it together with you? Ji-Haifan quickly checked the Rubik's Cube. It was intact. It was indeed put together. He was surprised. How did you put it together? What method did you use to put it together? Isn't this too amazing? Chu Xiang leaned back and raised her hand to block the sunlight in front of her eyes. You should study the tutorial yourself. Otherwise, wouldn't you have looked for nothing? Ji-Haifan looked at Chu Xiang, and then at the Rubik's Cube. He threw the Rubik's Cube aside and found another flower basket. Play with this. I don't believe you can play with everything. Solve this and I'll call you boss. It took him a while to solve the 9 consecutive rings. This flower basket was much more complicated than the 9 consecutive rings. It was difficult to solve just by looking at it. This time, he didn't look up any guides. He just squatted on the side and watched Chu Xiang solve it. The flower basket looked like an exquisite flower basket and could be folded into a flat surface. Chu Xiang fiddled with it in her hand with a smile on her face. She observed the pattern of the flower basket with satisfaction. Ji-Haifan squatted on the ground and stared at the flower basket at first. Then he inadvertently saw the pair of white hands fiddling with the flower basket. The golden flower basket in those white hands was like an exquisite toy. Looking at it gave him a feeling of enjoyment. Ji-Haifan's gaze unconsciously moved up slowly. From bottom to top he looked at Chu Xiang's face. He saw her delicate facial features, her rosy white skin, her rosy red lips, and the smile on her face. His heart suddenly jumped. It was as if something was different. Chu Xiang looked up and met his gaze. Why are you staring at me? Are you afraid I'll cheat? No. Cough. I'm just curious. I want to see how you solve it. Ji-Haifan was caught peeking. His ears turned red. He stared at the flower basket to show his innocence. Chu Xiang didn't think as much as he did. She fiddled with the flower basket a few more times and quickly went up and down. After a series of dazzling movements, she untied the flower basket in front of Ji-Haifan's shocked gaze. Ji-Haifan took the broken flower basket and stammered. Don't you need to think? How do you know which ring to go up and which to go down? Have you played with it before? Chu Xiang supported her chin. It's my first time playing with it. Didn't I see it before I untied it? That means I'm thinking. Ji-Haifan didn't want her to brag because he saw her thinking and dismantling it with his own eyes. Previously, he thought that Chu Xiang had never played with it before, so he would definitely play with it. These weren't toys. They were very brain-burning. It was just a Rubik's Cube, but she could study it all morning. Now he only felt that his face was hurting. It turned out that he was the only one who wasn't smart enough. Chu Xiang solved these toys in minutes. He felt that the Chu family was being crushed today. He suddenly recognized himself. Ji-Haifan couldn't help but murmur. You're too good, aren't you? Even if you treat these as intellectual toys, if it were someone else, they might not be able to solve it. You solved it in such a short time. Who knows what kind of record you'll break? Chu Xiang laughed. Okay, what record? Have you eaten breakfast? I'll get someone to prepare something to eat. Or do you want to play with these brain-burning toys? Ji Haifan hurriedly threw away the flower basket and moved the box a little with his foot. I don't like to play with these. Cough. Aren't these for you to play with? Since it's so simple, let's play games. When we're tired, we can play with Lego to pass the time. It'll be quite satisfying if we succeed. Have you played with it before? Yes, I have. I played with a whole battleship. It's super cool. When you're ready, come to my house. Let's go, I'll push you into the house. Next time, let's go to the parasol. I don't want you to get sunstroke. Okay. Chu Xiang agreed with a smile. When she turned around, she saw Ji Haifan frowning and looking annoyed. She couldn't help but giggle. This person really didn't hide his thoughts at all. Sure enough, calling him here was the right choice. It was very interesting. With Ji Haifan playing with Chu Xiang wasn't bored at all. Ji Haifan didn't know what was going on. With his playful personality, he didn't go out with his bad friends. He had been patiently accompanying Chu Xiang. The two of them played games, played with Lego, planted flowers and read gossip. Every time they chatted, they often made each other laugh. Ji Haifan saw that Chu Xiang's face was getting more and more smiling, and he couldn't help but feel happy. He had never felt this way before, and he didn't know what was going on. Anyway, he just regretted not knowing more about Chu Xiang before. When Chu Xiang was resting, he took advantage of the situation and became the closest person to Chu Xiang after Zhang Feiyu. Chu Qingji came home very late and left early in the morning. Usually he didn't see Chu Xiang. However, he deliberately came back twice in the morning as a surprise check to see what the Ji family's son was doing in front of his daughter. After seeing him, he was quite satisfied. This son was famous for being a devil incarnate. He didn't expect him to be so obedient now. Their families had been friends for generations. Naturally, Chu Qingji was happy that the two children could play together. As long as Chu Xiang was happy and Ji Haifan could make Chu Xiang happy, he felt that it was good. Chu Qingji also specially called Father Ji to praise Ji Haifan. Recently, Father Ji had been very kind to Ji Haifan, which made Ji Haifan think that his father had thought of something to teach him a lesson. When there was something to do, time passed very quickly. Chu Xiang used to cultivate in addition to eating, drinking, and playing. She used cultivation to replace sleep. Even if the spiritual energy in this world was thin, the results of her cultivation after a month were very obvious. At least, her injuries had been completely healed. Of course, she also played all the fun games. The experts consulted again and gave Chu Xiang a comprehensive examination in the hospital. In the end, they announced that Chu Xiang had recovered. Chu Qingji postponed the meeting to accompany Chu Xiang for the examination. Hearing this, he smiled and shook hands with the experts to thank them. The experts hurriedly said, "You don't have to thank us. It's Sister Chu Xiang who recovered well. Her physical fitness is really good. No wonder she could survive such a serious car accident. I heard that she stopped breathing at that time. It's really a miracle. It can be listed as a classic case in medical teaching." Chu Qingji thanked the experts again and left the hospital with Chu Xiang. In the car, he smiled at Chu Xiang. One who survives a great disaster is bound to have good fortune later. Although the evidence this time is not enough to bring them to justice, Dad will definitely make them pay a painful price. Don't worry. Just have fun and go out to take a breather. Dad will take care of the rest. Chu Xiang held his arm and nodded. I know. Dad, don't worry. Ji Haifan has already arranged it. He called a lot of people to celebrate for me. There are also programs arranged for the next month. It won't be boring. In the past, I was deceived. I was blind and stubborn. I won't do it again. Dad, you are so busy. You don't have to keep an eye on Zhang Feiyu, lest he catches something. He is good at coaxing women. The daughter of the underworld boss, the niece of the police chief, and the princess of some foreign country are all very affectionate to him. With their help, he may develop very smoothly. There is no need to deliberately target him. Chu Qingji patted Chu Xiang's hand and said with relief, Xiang is sensible. Don't worry, Dad knows what to do. There are so many capable people, But not everyone has the chance to be successful. If your character is not good, you won't do anything. Chu Xiang could feel the love from her father, so she didn't try to persuade him. Anyway, if someone wanted to make trouble for the Chu family, she could not just stand by and watch. Whoever was not afraid of death just come. The father and daughter had just finished visiting Zhang Feiyu. On the way home, they met Zhang Feiyu's mother. Zhang Feiyu's mother was waiting on the side of the road. As soon as she saw their car, she immediately blocked the road. The driver could not go around and had to stop. Chu Qingji frowned and asked the driver to get out of the car to deal with it. Chu Xiang stopped him. "I'll go. We have known each other for so many years. It's better to talk things out." In the past month, Zhang Feiyu had not given up trying to contact her. Zhang Feiyu's lover also wanted to contact her. However, she often muted her phone and ignored all calls and messages no matter who was calling or sending her messages. Later, she selected a few friends that she could make and changed her new number to tell them. Then she directly abandoned the old number. Now no one could contact her. This was the first time Chu Xiang went out of the house since she recovered from the car accident. Zhang Feiyu's mother could wait here so accurately. It must be Zhang Feiyu's idea. He must have used the help of some woman's family. Chu Xiang cultivated for a month. Not only did she recover from her injuries, but she also recovered from her childhood. At this time, her skin was as white as snow, her eyes were like stars, and her hair was black and glossy. She did not look like someone who had just been seriously injured, nor did she look like a sensitive girl who grew up in poverty. Instead, she looked like a rich girl who had always been pampered. Zhang Feiyu's mother saw her get out of the car, and did not recognize her at first. She was stunned for a moment before saying, "Xiang. Xiang, you have changed a lot. I don't even dare to recognize you." Chu Xiang smiled politely and said, "Auntie, long time no see." "A long time no see. It's really been a long time." Zhang Feiyu's mother reacted and wanted to take Chu Xiang's hand. Chu Xiang took a step back and asked with a smile, "Auntie, are you looking for me today? What's the matter?" Zhang Feiyu's mother was embarrassed for a moment and withdrew her hand. Xiang, are you feeling better? I heard that Feiyu went to the hospital for a checkup today. I watched you grow up and treat you like my own daughter. I was worried about you and wanted to ask you, did you change your phone number? I couldn't find you and could only try my luck on the road. I didn't expect to really bump into you. Are you all right now? Have you recovered from your injuries? Chu Xiang nodded her head. The doctor said that I'm fine. My body is much better than the average person, and I'm recovering extremely quickly. This is a miracle in the medical field, and can be included in textbooks as a classic case study. Zhang Feiyu's mother was not very educated and did not know much about these things. However, she understood the word miracle, and her words were stuck in her throat. When she found out that Chu Xiang was murdered by her son, she was furious. Later on, when she found out that Chu Xiang had almost died and suspected that Zhang Feiyu had cheated on her, she was furious. It was only then that she calmed down. Who knew that Chu Xiang would break up with Zhang Feiyu in the blink of an eye and be discharged to recuperate at home? It had only been a month, but she was already alive and kicking. Her face was rosy and she was in better health than Zhang Feiyu. Her anger flared up again. She was about to accuse Chu Xiang of lying when Chu Xiang recovered first. It was a miracle that she could be included in textbooks. What was she supposed to do? She thought about it and still could not take it lying down. She frowned. Xiang, you were adopted by old Chu and his wife next door. After they had their own children, they didn't like you and often left you alone at home. They didn't even take you with them when they moved to their new home. They adopted you and left you to fend for yourself. It was Auntie who took care of you and taught you. I treated you the same as Feiyu. Didn't I teach you? You have to be kind and honest. You can't forget your roots. I even taught you to support each other and never abandon each other. I know that you found your biological father, and that your biological father's family is very rich and different from us commoners. However, you can't forget this. Feiyu gave you the car because he loves you. He didn't know that there was a problem with the car. It was just an accident, but you told the police that he wanted to kill you. How can you be so careless? You're trying to ruin him. No matter what, You two grew up together. How can your relationship be compared to others? Why are you so muddle-headed? Chu Xiang's expression did not change when she heard her accusatory words. When she was done, she smiled faintly. Auntie, I remember that although my adoptive parents didn't care much about me, they always gave you money, right? They actually paid you to take care of me. It's equivalent to finding me a nanny. I won't count the money I didn't spend all those years. I just want to say that since Auntie is a nanny, don't take advantage of your seniority to be another adoptive mother of mine. Chu Xiang looked at Mrs. Zheng's widened eyes in disbelief and smiled. Also, just as Auntie said, you've always taught Zheng Feiyu to have a conscience and not forget his roots. Please go back and tell him to calculate the money he borrowed from me in the past 2 years, and return it to me as soon as possible. Since we've broken up, I think the debt has to be settled. It's not that I lack the money, but I believe that you and Zheng Feiyu are very strong and won't want this money. After all, Zheng Feiyu relied on my money to start his business. If someone mentions in the future that he used his ex-girlfriend's money to start his business, and refuses to return it, he will lose face. Since we grew up together for so many years, I'm thinking of him one last time. Mrs. Zheng's expression changed instantly. You. When did you become so sharp-tongued? What do you mean? Are you afraid that Feiyu is greedy for your money? Feiyu is now a big boss. Don't you know how much a stone is worth? You're deliberately insulting him by doing this. You still think I'm a nanny? Can your feelings be calculated with money? I've cared for you and taken care of you for so many years, but I didn't leave behind any benefits. Chu Xiang tilted her head in confusion. A nanny and an employer can have feelings for each other. So, aren't I talking to you calmly? I don't quite understand. What are you angry about? Chapter 324. Mrs. Zheng's face turned red, but she couldn't refute her. She flew into a rage out of humiliation. Fine. Fine. Since you're our employer and caretaker, I won't talk about feelings with you anymore. Just treat it as if all my care over the years has been for nothing. I know your big sister Chu is very rich now, and our Feiyu is just the son of a caretaker in your eyes. How can he be your boyfriend? So you're slandering him to get rid of him, right? You're just afraid that someone will think you're heartless, so you're looking for an excuse. Mrs. Zheng was so convinced that she believed herself. She sneered and took a step back with a look of disdain. He probably isn't worthy of being your childhood sweetheart. At most, he's your big sister's follower. Fine, you're rich now, and we can't afford to be associated with you. I'll tell Feiyu what you said when I get back. You'll settle the matter between the two of you. However, people have guts too. If you dare to wrong Feiyu again, I'll expose it to the media and let everyone know that the daughter of the richest man bullied her ex-boyfriend. Let everyone be the judge. Don't force me. I value my son the most in my life. For my son, I can do anything. Chu Xiang nodded in agreement. I can see that you really love your son. However, doting on your son and raising a good son are two different things. Unprincipled doting will only produce scum. Of course, I've already broken up with Zheng Feiyu, and we didn't get along very well today. We probably won't have a chance to meet again in the future, so whatever happens to you has nothing to do with me. Then I'll leave first. I hope Auntie can remember to ask Zheng Feiyu to settle the score. It's always unpleasant to hear that he's living off a woman. Since we've broken up, it's better to do it cleanly and thoroughly. Chu Xiang smiled and nodded, then turned and got into the car. Mrs. Zheng was left on the side of the road just like that. Before she could react, the car had already driven away. She had been used to Chu Xiang treating her like a mother for more than 10 years. Even though Chu Xiang's attitude had changed today, she didn't accept this reality. She still blamed Chu Xiang righteously, and waited for Chu Xiang to coax her. However, as she watched the car that she would never be able to afford in her lifetime drive further and further away, she recalled Chu Qingji's appearance when the car door was opened. Chu Qingji was so calm and magnanimous, but she was like an ignorant shrew. She was so embarrassed that she wanted to find a hole to hide in. No wonder Chu Xiang didn't recognize anyone when she was rich. If it were her, she would have made the same choice. However, Now that she and Zheng Feiyu were the ones being despised, she couldn't help but scold Chu Xiang as an ungrateful wretch. Zheng Feiyu was waiting for her on the next street. His plan was to let Mother Zheng play the emotional card, soften Chu Xiang, and force Chu Xiang to get into his car. As long as Chu Xiang was soft-hearted and willing to step down, he was confident that he could coax her back. However, after waiting for a long time, no one came. Instead, he saw the Chu family's car drive away. He hurriedly got out of the car to look for his mother and asked in confusion, "Mom, did you stop Chu Xiang? Have you started talking? Why did she leave?" Mother Zheng rubbed her chest and said angrily, "She left. She's now the daughter of a rich family and looks down on us commoners. If it were me, she wouldn't have been liked back then. She's even worse off than us. If it weren't for us taking care of her, how could she have lived until now and acknowledged her biological father as her elder sister? It's fine if she doesn't remember our kindness, but I'm her nanny and she's my employer. Is that what you're saying? She even wanted to call me mom in the past. She's heartless." Zheng Feiyu didn't understand. Nanny? Employer? Did Xiang say that herself? She's not such a person. Mother Zheng's expression changed immediately. "What do you mean? You don't believe me? Everyone forgets about their mother after getting married. Your wife has already run away. Do you still believe her over me? I'm your mother. Would I lie to you? Not only is she a nanny, but she also said that you're a freeloader. She told you to return the money. Otherwise, she would tell others and let everyone laugh at you for being a gigolo. You're still helping her? I think you've been seduced by her." Zheng Feiyu looked as if he had been struck by lightning. He couldn't believe that Chu Xiang would think that he was a freeloader. They had grown up together and had been in a relationship for so many years. Could it be that a misunderstanding could cause them to end up like this? Or was it really like his mother? Did Chu Xiang despise him because she had a rich father? The more Zheng Feiyu thought about it, the more he felt that Chu Xiang's temperament had changed after she became rich, and found all kinds of excuses to break up with him. At this moment, he had already forgotten how Chu Xiang had spent money and effort to help him in the past 2 years after she acknowledged her father. How she had used her face as the daughter of the richest man to help him open up a path for him, and how she had brought him into the upper-class circle. He only remembered that Chu Xiang had caused him to be sent to the police station, mercilessly broke up with him, humiliated him, and turned her back on him. Chu Xiang wanted to destroy him. She might even want to chase him out of Beijing because he was an ordinary person who was not worthy of being the ex-boyfriend of the daughter of the richest man. He was a stain on Chu Xiang's life. Chu Xiang wanted to erase him. This was the conclusion that Zheng Feiyu came to after he calmed down. His expression became gloomy. Mother Zheng, who was chattering next to him, felt that the atmosphere was not right. She closed her mouth and looked at his expression. Zheng Feiyu sent Mother Zheng home without saying a word and drove to a villa that someone had given him. Chu Xiang, his real girlfriend, looked down on him and broke up with him. Li Fei, the hot pepper, was the fuse that caused him to break up with Chu Xiang. He didn't want to see them. However, he still had many confidants. When he made a phone call, there would naturally be people who were willing to comfort him. His life was very good. Since Chu Xiang had humiliated him, he would not do something like sticking his hot face to her cold butt. Zheng Feiyu and Hong Yan were happy. They didn't harass Chu Xiang anymore. Chu Xiang didn't think about him anymore. The next day, she went to sea with Ji Haifan. Chu Qingji gave Chu Xiang a yacht. Ji Haifan called a lot of people to the yacht to celebrate Chu Xiang's recovery. Ji Haifan was nicknamed the Devil's Incarnate. He had always been crazy and troublesome. He was a headache for the elders. However, he had never touched pornography, gambling, or drugs. He had a sense of propriety. Those who could play with him were naturally people with bottom lines and principles. When Chu Xiang met them on the yacht, she felt relieved. These people knew how to play and were discerning. It was very easy to get along with them. Going to sea with them was not a social event. It was purely for enjoyment and a party. Ji Haifan saw her expression and knew that she was very satisfied. After greeting a group of people, he leaned over to her and whispered, "How is it? Are they all good? I've known that I'm reliable, but you doubted me." Chu Xiang held the railing with both hands and watched the yacht gradually leave the harbor. She smiled and said, "I feel that you're not reliable. This time, I wronged you. I thought too badly of you. What do you want as compensation?" Ji Haifan originally wanted to appeal, but when he heard the word compensation, he immediately smiled. He rolled his eyes and said with a sneaky smile, "You can cook, right? I want to eat food cooked by you. Even Uncle Chu has not eaten it before, right?" Chu Xiang was a little surprised. She thought about it and smiled. "That's true. Ever since I got back, I haven't cooked for 2 years. Have you thought about it? It's that simple?" Ji Haifan nodded. This was not simple. He was sure that he liked Chu Xiang. How could it be simple to eat food cooked by his sweetheart? This was a big breakthrough. The next step might be cooking together, traveling together, and falling in love together. It was not simple at all. Chu Xiang agreed. "Then I'll cook for you after we get off the yacht. Let's go and open the champagne." Chu Xiang was the host and the main character of the celebration. Of course, she had to open the champagne for everyone. She waited for everyone to change before she opened the champagne and sprayed it on everyone. Everyone screamed and laughed as they dodged, instantly igniting the atmosphere. The yacht was very big and there were many rooms. The servants provided all kinds of services very well. The group of them only cared about having fun. They went fishing, played games, and sang and danced vigorously. They did this for 3 full days at sea. The media got the news from somewhere that Chu Xiang noticed that someone was taking photos as soon as she got off the yacht. She had 2 female bodyguards beside her. They immediately looked at her and asked silently if she needed to deal with it. Chu Xiang was very familiar with the media. Seeing that they were just casually reporting and nothing much, she waved her hand to indicate that they did not need to deal with it. Then, she put on her sunglasses and got into a cool sports car. Ji Haifan drove another sports car over and stopped beside her. He asked, "Where are you going?" "To the company. Assistant Chen, my dad is in a bad mood today. He even lost his temper in a meeting. I'm going to take a look." Chu Xiang turned the steering wheel and prepared to leave. Ji Haifan nodded and said, "Let's go." He quickly drove the car on the road. The others also did the same. When they passed by Chu Xiang, they had to say hello to her. It turned out that they knew about Chu Xiang, but they had never played together. They had always thought that they were not the same kind of people. However, they had fully realized that Chu Xiang was better at playing than any of them and could afford to play. They unconsciously accepted Chu Xiang and were very close to her. The sports cars drove away one by one, and the media kept taking photos of them. They were secretly speechless. This yacht and sports car were all given to his daughter by Chu Qingji. It seemed that Chu Qingji really doted on his daughter. This was a real super-rich second generation. They heard that Chu Xiang had broken up with Zheng Feiyu. The car accident had sent Zheng Feiyu and Li Fei to the police station. This rich second generation's life was more exciting than a TV show. Unfortunately, they could not report it casually. At most, they could help them show off their wealth and report their extravagant life. Many people liked to see that. Just as the media thought, they organized the manuscript as soon as they went back. The first thing they did was to release the photos of Chu Xiang getting off the yacht and saying goodbye to her friends. They described how good this group of rich second generation's life was. As soon as the news was released, it attracted a lot of comments. The main reason was that everyone knew that the richest man had found his daughter, Chu Xiang, who had been lost for more than 10 years. Chu Xiang had always been very low-key. Except for dating the new rich Zheng Feiyu, she had never been exposed. This time, when they suddenly saw Chu Xiang driving a sports car in such a high-profile manner, and the yacht in the background, everyone was surprised. They all thought that Chu Xiang was too happy, wasn't she? Just looking at these photos of Chu Xiang, everyone thought of the importance of reincarnation, and felt sorry for themselves for not being able to afford a single wheel of a sports car. At the same time, various discussions about Chu Xiang gradually appeared. Chu Xiang, as a super-rich second generation, directly became a hot search. And Chu Xiang, as a real super-rich second generation, didn't need to pay attention to these at all. At this time, she was in the chairman's office of the Chu Group, drinking coffee, reading magazines and waiting for Chu Qingji, who was in a meeting. The secretary came forward and asked with a smile, Xiang, do you need me to bring you a few fashion magazines? Chu Xiang shook her head and flipped through the magazine about economics in her hand. No, I think this is very interesting. I like to read it. Chapter 325. Chu Qingji came back after a long meeting. When he arrived at the office, his face was still gloomy. It wasn't until he saw Chu Xiang that his expression eased. You're back? How was it? Chu Xiang put down the magazine and got up with a smile. I had a great time and met a few great friends. I used to think that Ji Haifen's group was ignorant and incompetent, so I didn't have a good impression of them. This time, I really got along with them and realized that I was wrong. They are still very thoughtful and capable. It's just that they are young and immature. I want to play for a few more years. Chu Qingji nodded and sat on the sofa to relax. He leaned his head back and closed his eyes to rest. He said, if you're happy, you can play with them more. After all, you have a common language and can play together. In fact, they are all good children. Haifan is still very sensible. He doesn't have many friends who are recognized by him. I don't have to worry about him taking care of you. Chu Xiang personally made tea for Chu Qingji, and then went behind the sofa to massage Chu Qingji's shoulders. She wondered, did something happen in the company recently? Dad, why do you look so tired? Chu Xiang's medical skills were superb. After practicing for more than a month, she massaged Chu Qingji's acupoints. Chu Qingji immediately felt that his stiff muscles relaxed a lot, and his whole body was comfortable. He smiled and asked Chu Xiang to sit down. He smiled and said, it's okay. Dad will take care of the work. You just got off the boat and are tired, right? Do you want to go back and rest first? Or do you want to eat something delicious? Dad will take you. Chu Xiang sat next to him and looked at him. She said seriously, Dad, you shelter me from the wind and rain. I also want to do something to help you. Don't change the topic. The timing is so delicate. Tell me, did Zheng Feiyu do something? He has a bit of bad luck and a lot of connections. I treated him like that, so he must be very unwilling. Did he cause trouble for you? Although Chu Xiang was doubtful, her tone was very certain. Chu Qingji saw that he couldn't hide it from her, so he simply nodded. We are talking about cooperation with that group. I don't know how he got to know its president, but he also did something with its president, causing it to reconsider its cooperation with us. He was afraid that Chu Xiang would be upset, so he smiled and said, it's not a big deal. That's how business is. You won't always get a deal done, and not everyone is a suitable partner. In Chu Qingji's heart, Chu Xiang had stopped studying after she graduated from high school. Her grades were not good and she was not trained well. Naturally, she would not know about business. Later on, Chu Xiang was cheated of a lot of money by Zheng Feiyu. Her heart was hurt and she almost lost her life in a car accident. This Chu Xiang was very pure and kind. Chu Qingji was already very lucky that his daughter could still maintain a kind temperament in such an environment after being abducted. He did not intend to let his daughter learn anything at all. He just wanted to protect his daughter well and shelter her from the wind and rain. In the future, he would set up a fund to ensure that his daughter would always have a rich life. Therefore, he naturally had no requirements for Chu Xiang. However, Chu Xiang was not a white flower that he thought she was. Chu Xiang took his arm and said, Dad, can I help you in the company? I'm already 20 years old and I'm bored. Let me enter the company to improve myself and pass the time. Besides, this incident happened because of me. I'm also the person who knows Zheng Feiyu the best. Why don't you let me try to do something? You want to enter the company? Chu Qingji was quite surprised, but he only thought that Chu Xiang wanted to find something to do because she felt sorry. He did not take it seriously and casually agreed. Then you can be my special assistant. You're more familiar with special assistant Chen. If I'm not around, you can look for him if you need anything. However, you've just recovered from your injury. Don't tire yourself out. Work is not urgent. You don't have to pay much attention to Zheng Feiyu. You can come if you want. If you're tired, you must have a good rest. Your health is the most important thing, understand? I know. Chu Xiang smiled. Her father was very good to her. Of course, she would not let her father suffer because of her. Zheng Feiyu, that bastard, still dared to approach her. Then she would play with him and see if he could still walk on the road to success. The assistant group around Chu Qingji was surprisingly efficient. After a while, Chu Xiang's office was tidied up. Chu Xiang did not disturb Chu Qingji's work. She went to her office and asked Special Assistant Chen for the information about the cooperation with that. Special Assistant Chen was different from Chu Qingji. He had been with Chu Xiang day and night for a month. He had seen Chu Xiang's words and deeds. He knew Chu Xiang better than Chu Qingji. He knew that Chu Xiang's IQ was extremely high, and she learned everything very quickly. Those brain-burning toys, puzzles, games, escape rooms, and so on were all child's play for Chu Xianglai. Even if he did not train such a talent well in the past, Special Assistant Chen still had high expectations for her. Therefore, the information Special Assistant Chen gave her was very complete. He also carefully explained the relevant situation of the cooperation to her. Chu Xiang listened carefully and thanked him seriously. Chu Xiang did not want to be a workaholic again. This time, her father was the richest man in the country and ranked in the top 3 internationally. Moreover, the senior executives in the company were all very capable. She did not need to do much in this regard. She just wanted to understand the situation and find the key point to break the game according to the original owner's understanding of Zheng Feiyu. She sat in the office for the whole afternoon. With the Reiki running, she did not feel tired at all. Her efficiency was very high. Her office was next to Chu Qingji's. With a glass wall, she could see the first secretary and 2 special assistants outside. The 3 people could also see her. The secretary noticed that Chu Xiang had been reading the information. She was not absent-minded or confused. She whispered to Special Assistant Chen doubtfully. Special Assistant Chen, hasn't our crown princess always been uninterested in these things? I remember that she used to give money to Zheng Feiyu to do business. Someone advised her to use the money to buy shares. She said that she knew nothing about business and did not want to worry about it. Now what is this? Special Assistant Chen glanced at Chu Xiang and shook his head. I don't know. When she was at home, she was just playing. She had never come into contact with these things. But she is very smart. Maybe she changed her mind after the accident. In addition, she saw that the chairman was so busy and tired. She wanted to be filial to the chairman and help her. The secretary and the other special assistant were not very optimistic. How could a girl who had never come into contact with these things help, no matter how smart she was? They were not a company. The final result was that the workload of the 3 of them would increase. Not only did they have to do their job well, but they also had to take care of the crown princess. However, Chu Xiang had a good temper. They were not unhappy. At most, they felt that Chu Xiang was wasting time. Chu Xiang not only read the information in the afternoon, but she also sent the Heaven and Earth Mirror to observe the contents of Zheng Feiyu's meeting in the company and the movements of AT. When she found out that AT's president had a daughter, and that the sister had a particularly good impression of Zheng Feiyu, she understood what was going on. AT's president also doted on his daughter. If Zheng Feiyu had bewitched the girl and passed some half-true and half-false information to AT's president through the girl, it would indeed be easy for AT's president to doubt the Chu group. After all, it was a group from country M. It was very cautious to open the Chinese market. Given that they did not know much about the situation in China, reconsidering was the best choice. Zheng Feiyu's business was mainly in the jewelry industry. He was not a competitor of the Chu group. Zheng Feiyu's move was completely harmful to others without benefiting himself. It only provided the Chu group's competitors with a chance to fight for AT. It was pure revenge. It seemed ridiculous, but the matter between the Chu group and AT was that simple. Chu Xiang had a general understanding of the overall situation and walked out of the office to go home. The secretary immediately got up and walked over with a smile. She asked her if she was used to it and walked her to the elevator. The secretary joked casually, Xiang, you're on the hot search list today. The netizens say that you're the most low-key super-rich second-generation heir. They told you to flaunt your wealth. Chu Xiang was stunned. Hot search. She turned on her phone and took a few glances. It wasn't surprising. Some rich second-generation heirs had more traffic than many celebrities who fought to get to the top. She was the daughter of the richest man, and her identity had her own traffic. Chu Xiang suddenly had an idea and smiled. Flaunt my wealth? That sounds interesting. The secretary was stunned. After sending Chu Xiang into the elevator, she went back to the two assistants. Did I say something wrong just now? Our crown princess isn't really flaunting her wealth, is she? That might affect the chairman's image, right? It's not that serious. Special Assistant Chen retorted first and thought for a while. I think Xiang knows her limits. Don't worry too much about her. Besides, she's a girl with a good heart. She won't affect the chairman and the company. Chu Xiang didn't know that they were worried about her at all. When she got home, she changed into her home clothes and turned on the live broadcast. Her bedroom was bigger than many big houses. This was the old house of the Chu family. Her room had been redecorated, so it looked high-end and exquisite. Those who knew the goods could tell that most of the things in her room were expensive. She was really rich. The super-rich second-generation heir showed off her house. Such a gimmick immediately attracted a swarm of netizens. There was no need for special publicity. Some people rushed into the live broadcast room and pushed Chu Xiang's live broadcast to the top of the list. Chu Xiang introduced her bedroom, dressing table, and cloakroom to everyone. She smiled. Everyone knows that I was brought home when I was 18 years old. My father was very good to me, and my quality of life skyrocketed. In fact, I never yearned for a rich life before. I heard a rumor that the rich were not necessarily happier than the poor. Even if they didn't have money, they could still be happy for the rest of their lives. She shook her head at the camera. Now that I have so much, I know what real happiness is. Those very few examples are not enough to represent the whole. The overall reality is that poverty really limits one's imagination. Therefore, people must have dreams. In order to improve their quality of life, they must work hard and set a goal for themselves. Today, I saw a lot of people joking and asking me to show off my wealth. I don't think there's anything to show off. I'd rather show off that I have a good father. Of course, I think that if I let everyone see my life, it might inspire many people to work hard and believe in themselves. As long as you work hard, you can also live such a life. Chu Xiang's live broadcast didn't make people uncomfortable. Instead, it gave people a feeling of simplicity. It was as if, just like her, she was really encouraging everyone to work hard. The netizens had never seen such an honest rich second-generation heir. They were all laughing and sending bullet comments. However, the keyboard warriors were everywhere. Chu Xiang soon saw people sending bullet comments asking, "You dumped Zheng Feiyu because you're rich and you don't like him anymore, right?" This sentence was sent many times. Chu Xiang curled her lips. She was waiting for this. Zheng Feiyu didn't want to be a human, so he shouldn't wear human skin. Chapter 326. Chu Xiang pretended to be surprised as she looked at the comments, and the smile on her face slowly disappeared. She was silent for half a minute before asking in confusion, "Who dumped Zheng Feiyu because of wealth? It's been 2 years since my father found me. It's not like I suddenly became rich. In the past 2 years, I've given him 200 million yuan to do business. Is that looking down on him? You have to know that I grew up poor. 200 million yuan is just a number to me. When Zheng Feiyu asked me to give it to him, I was scared that my father wouldn't want me anymore. Fortunately, I have a good father. I treated it as pocket money. Now that I can't get it back, I'll treat it as spending money to buy a lesson for me. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to sleep if I wasted such a huge sum of money from my father." Chu Xiang's expression was serious, as if she was simply explaining to everyone that she didn't dump Zheng Feiyu, but there was too much information in her words. There was a moment of silence in the live broadcast room, and then it suddenly exploded. 200 million? 200 million? Damn, so Zheng Feiyu became a nouveau riche in the past 2 years because of Chu Xiang's 200 million yuan? As expected, Poverty has limited my imagination. What the hell is 200 million yuan of pocket money? I also want to have such a father. And Zheng Feiyu actually asked for this money? 200 million yuan, not 20,000 yuan. How shameless. Why can't you get the money back? Zheng Feiyu didn't return the money after breaking up? By the way, if it's not that you don't like him, why did you break up? Chu Xiang is right. She has been rich for 2 years. If she wanted to dislike him, how could she only dislike him now? And they broke up suddenly after the car accident. I think there's something going on. I have a conspiracy theory. Why did you break up? Why did you break up? Why did you break up? Important things must be asked 3 times. Chu Xiang looked to the side, took a deep breath, and forced a smile. She looked at the camera and said, "My car's brakes didn't work, and I just drank with him before I drove off. When I was in the car, I was so sleepy that I couldn't open my eyes. The doctor drugged me. I feel I can't trust him anymore. It's impossible for me to continue being with him. The police caught the waiter who drugged me and the mechanic who repaired the car. But I have no enmity with them. I don't understand why they want to harm me. My living environment was so simple. The only person who didn't like me was my love rival. So after I almost died, I decided to break up with Zheng Feiyu. I don't know if you can understand, but it's the kind of feeling. I'm a little scared when I see him. I don't dare to sit in the same car with him, eat or drink with him, or be alone with him. I know I should believe the police and that he's innocent, but I can't control this feeling of fear. Besides, Li Fei is already pregnant with his child. Why should I still be with him? I've eaten a big melon. Zheng Feiyu cheated and wanted to kill Chu Xiang? Who are the waiter and maintenance master trying to fool? Wasn't this too fake? I bet 1 yuan that Zheng Feiyu did it. He spent 200 million on Chu Xiang and still cheated on her and killed her. Isn't that too much of a scumbag? I didn't expect Zheng Feiyu to be such a person. It's scary when you think about it. You really can't be together with someone like that. Even if he didn't harm you, it's disgusting that he cheated on you and made someone else pregnant. You did the right thing. You should break up. Who is Li Fei? Who knows? Can anyone explain? Netizens always had many magical skills. As the daughter of a triad boss, Li Fei wouldn't be exposed on the internet. However, Zheng Feiyu was handsome and had become a newly eligible bachelor. He had also been rumored to be a popular actress and a best actress. Naturally, he received a lot of attention. Li Fei had been photographed with him a few times, and had also become the subject of his scandals. The netizens quickly identified Li Fei based on these scandals and spread it in various groups. From who had heard of it, who had seen it, who knew it, and so on, they actually dug out Li Fei's identity and knew that her father was a big brother in the triad. Suddenly, no one questioned Chu Xiang's conspiracy theory about the car accident. People in the triad could do anything, especially when Li Fei was pregnant with Zheng Feiyu's child. How could she be a mistress? How could she let her child be an illegitimate child? Since Chu Xiang and Zheng Feiyu were childhood sweethearts, and she had also funded Zheng Feiyu's business, so Zheng Feiyu couldn't break up with her. Then she would simply get rid of Chu Xiang, and let Chu Xiang give up her position. At that time, Zheng Feiyu's reputation would still be good. She and the child would also have a home. Everything would be solved. The netizens automatically imagined the complete plot, and their attitude towards Chu Xiang became sympathetic. It turned out that there were also people who were jealous of Chu Xiang, because she had become rich overnight. They felt that she couldn't do anything, but she had been born into a good family, and they looked down on her very much. But now, they suddenly realized that Chu Xiang wasn't so lucky. They weren't as rich as Chu Xiang, but at least they were safe and wouldn't be plotted against. Almost all the comments were comforting Chu Xiang, and scolding the scumbag man and slut. There were also people who said that since the scandal between Zheng Feiyu and Li Fei was true, then could the scandals between Zheng Feiyu and several other actresses also be true? Since there were scandals, there were naturally misunderstandings. Could it be that all the scandals about Zheng Feiyu were true? This was going to blow up. Among the women who had an affair with Zheng Feiyu, there were popular actresses and Best Actress awards. The netizens didn't care so much about other women, But when it came to popular women in the entertainment industry, the netizens and fans immediately discussed it fiercely, and even tore it apart. Many people who were radical in their words and deeds moved to Weibo, and passers-by who liked to watch the fun also followed. Almost all the netizens who stayed in the live broadcast room were netizens who liked Chu Xiang a little. Chu Xiang clapped her hands. It's all in the past. Don't mention unhappy things. Everyone is very interested in the car I drove today. I'll take everyone to the garage to see my car. This time, my dad gave it to me. It's absolutely safe. Chu Xiang smiled and picked up her phone. She went downstairs, passed through the hall, met a few polite servants, then went to the garden, entered the garage, and finally saw her cool sports car. Although she had been walking and the scenery along the way was only a glimpse, these flashing scenes in the live broadcast room made the netizens excited. This was the home of the richest man. They finally saw what a super rich man's house looked like. There were also some knowledgeable people who found some antiques, flowers that could only be shipped by air, and other luxury cars in the garage that were swept by the camera. Almost all of them were global limited editions. People liked to see vulgar flaunting of wealth, not to mention Chu Xiang's high stakes. They couldn't tell that she was flaunting her wealth at all. Almost all the netizens felt that she was very simple. Not the kind of simple that was a little ignorant, but the kind that was pure without any bad intentions or schemes. Like many netizens, she had already reached the peak of life. She just wanted to enjoy life. How could she have time to lie to the netizens? There was no need for that at all. Then the live broadcast room was very happy. There were often people who asked Chu Xiang if she wanted a boyfriend. They were gentle, considerate, and sweet. There were also people who asked Chu Xiang if she wanted a girlfriend or a bestie. There were even people who asked Chu Xiang if she wanted brothers or sisters, and if the richest man's father wanted children. Of course, everyone was joking. Chu Xiang also laughed with them. It was obviously the first time that she had done a live broadcast, but she actually rushed to the top of the same time period. It was a little amazing. Even the netizens who participated in the live broadcast room were proud. However, Chu Xiang had finished what she wanted. After she showed the sports car to everyone, she smiled. It's time for dinner. My dad is very busy with work. I plan to cook something delicious and send it to the company for him to eat. I'll talk to you guys when I have time. Everyone was very reluctant to leave her. After all, it was very likely that this was the only time in their lives that they could talk to a super rich person. Just looking at Chu Xiang's relaxed life was also very good. It was much better than the fair, rich, and beautiful girls in idol dramas. It was a pity that Chu Xiang didn't miss it at all. Moreover, Chu Xiang didn't have a Weibo. After the live broadcast, there was no place to communicate with her. They could only go to the official Weibo of the Chu family's industry and leave comments, hoping that Chu Xiang would do more live broadcasts. They wanted to see the super rich second generation spreading positive energy. Because the people who liked to quarrel had shifted the focus to Zheng Feiyu and those women. The people who discussed Chu Xiang's matter were much gentler. The comments they left were also very positive, so this matter inexplicably had a very warm ending. However, they liked Chu Xiang and naturally hated Zheng Feiyu. Zheng Feiyu was a grassroots person who liked to be praised very much. He had already set up a high-profile Weibo, and from time to time, he would take selfies and send jewelry to attract netizens. Now that the people who hated him had a place to go, they all went to his Weibo to ask when he would return the money. Please return Chu Xiang's pocket money to her. When are you and Li Fei getting married? How many months have you and Li Fei's child been? Is the scandal between you and XXX true? Such comments were endless, and the girls who had been in the scandal with him, and even the girls who had been in contact with him, were all asked, including the daughter of the president of AT. The president of AT was still negotiating cooperation with Hua Nation, and he was very low-key. This time, his daughter was involved in a romantic dispute because of Zheng Feiyu, and she was only one of the few in the romantic dispute, which made the president of AT very unhappy. His daughter was also very sad. No matter what, Chu Xiang was Zheng Feiyu's ex. She could still rely on the police to conclude that Zheng Feiyu was innocent, but Li Fei's pregnancy couldn't be avoided. The man she was attracted to already had a child, and he was entangled with so many women. Were they really innocent? Some netizens listed the deeds and timelines of Zhang Feiyu, and all the women in the scandal in detail. The daughter of its president couldn't lie to herself. She had just met Zhang Feiyu, and even if she was attracted to him, it was far from love. She was sad and lost interest in touring Hua Nation, so she went back to China to heal. The netizens dug up a lot of women, but at least 5 or 6 of them were related to Zhang Feiyu. Usually, Zhang Feiyu would coax them, but every time he was alone with someone he would act like he didn't know what to do. He wouldn't even take the initiative and he would be half reluctant. This didn't intensify the conflict. Now that all of them had been dug up, how could these women still sit still? One by one, they called Zhang Feiyu and asked him what was going on. While Zhang Feiyu was in a terrible state, Ji Haifan was also at home brainwashing his sister with the comments on the internet. His sister, Ji Wenqi, had liked Zhang Feiyu for a long time, but Ji Haifan kept a close eye on her and asked all his friends to help look after her, so Zhang Feiyu didn't succeed. This time, Chu Xiang's live broadcast was so awesome. Of course, he had to take the opportunity to pull his sister back. That scumbag was a pit. No matter how stupid she was, she couldn't jump into it. Chapter 327. Ji Haifan persuaded his sister back unexpectedly smoothly. Even he himself was a little surprised. Ji Wenqi snorted when she saw his expression. "Brother, aren't you looking down on me too much? I've always liked him, but have I ever tried to steal him from Chu Xiang? I have a bottom line, okay? I won't steal someone else's man. Now that I know that he cheated on Li Fei and got her pregnant, how can I still like him?" Ji Haifan breathed a sigh of relief and stared at her to confirm. "You really don't like him anymore? You promise?" "I promise. I'm sure and sure. I really don't like him anymore." "Well, it's not like I don't feel bad at all. I still feel bad when I think of him, but I can't like someone who cheats on me. Besides, we don't know what happened to Chu Xiang's car accident. Even if Li Fei did it and Zhang Feiyu didn't know about it, it was still his fault. I can't accept it." Ji Wenqi was a well-protected princess, but she still had normal morals. She couldn't accept that Zhang Feiyu had cheated on her. Ji Haifan smiled and hugged his sister. "You're indeed my sister. You're so clear-headed. When you go out with me in the future, there will be plenty of good men for you to choose from. Who wants to choose? I'm still choosing. I'm not going with you." Ji Wenqi was embarrassed. She pushed Ji Haifan away and ran back to her room. Zhang Feiyu didn't know that he had lost 2 girls that he might have been able to coax in the future. He refused all the female calls and watched Chu Xiang's live broadcast with an ugly expression. When he saw that Chu Xiang didn't pay back the money, his heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. Chu Xiang was the closest person to him. She was his childhood sweetheart, his girlfriend, his future wife, and the person he trusted the most. Why did it turn out like this? It was as if the 2 of them were strangers all of a sudden. Except for the 200 million debt, they had nothing to do with each other. But what kind of debt was that? He wasn't short of money, and neither was she, so he didn't even think about it. It was completely different from refusing to pay it back. Last time, when Chu Xiang mentioned money to his mother, he thought that Chu Xiang was still angry. He thought that both parties would calm down for a while before getting her back. Who knew that this time everyone knew about it? He finally understood that Chu Xiang really did not intend to reconcile with him. Zhang Feiyu sped all the way to the Chu family. He was not in a hurry to be stopped outside the door. He just waited by the roadside. When Chu Xiang arrived home a little later, he immediately rushed out and stopped Chu Xiang's car. Chu Xiang slammed on the brakes. When she saw him, her face turned cold. She stepped on the accelerator and stared into his eyes. Only when the car was almost touching him did she stop the car. Zhang Feiyu stood still, but his expression turned ugly. He stared at Chu Xiang and smiled bitterly. "Are you really that heartless? Do you want to kill me? We've been in a relationship for more than 10 years. Are you not going to give me a chance to explain?" Chu Xiang was driving a convertible sports car. She sat in the car and looked at him. She didn't even get out of the car. "I'm not going to kill you. I just want you to have a taste of a car accident. This kind of pain was caused by you. I should let you experience it personally. Unfortunately, I'm a good citizen who follows the law. I can't do such a thing. You're lucky. The sadness on Zheng Feiyu's face was replaced by guilt. He lowered his head. I didn't expect Li Fei to do that. I really didn't know. I didn't cheat. It was just an accident. I was too happy and drunk when I opened an emerald in Myanmar. When I woke up the next day, I found that I was in the wrong room. Li Fei was lying next to me. She had some injuries on her body. I forced her. I let her down. But I love you. I can't be responsible for her. I can only give her the emerald as an apology. Then we're even. Later, when we met again, I only treated her as an ordinary friend. Really, I didn't know about her pregnancy. She only told me after we broke up. Chu Xiang smiled. So she's the victim? You didn't know that she likes you? You didn't know that she was hostile to me? Are you innocent? These questions made Zheng Feiyu feel ashamed. Li Fei had almost killed Chu Xiang. How could she be considered a victim? There was some ambiguity between him and Li Fei. Li Fei's feelings for him and her hostility towards Chu Xiang could be felt even by a blind person, let alone him. He was rendered speechless by Chu Xiang's gaze, which seemed to be a smile that was not a smile. Chu Xiang crossed her arms and said sarcastically, "So who gave you the courage to stand in front of me and pretend to be innocent? My family is wealthy, beautiful, sincere, intelligent, and considerate. But you are opportunistic, dishonest, fickle, and narrow-minded. Do you really think that you are worthy of me?" Zheng Feiyu's expression changed slightly. Xiang, when did you become so mean? You weren't like this before. You weren't like this before either. People change, especially after going to Yama Palace. You already know that it was Li Fei who harmed me, but Li Fei is still enjoying her life. But you don't even have the slightest sincerity in apologizing. Then there's nothing between us. You even gave Li Fei an emerald? How generous. Then please pay me back the money you owe me as soon as possible. In the future, you and I will have nothing to do with each other. If you dare to have any ideas about the Chu family again, remember, I will beat you back to your original state. Chu Xiang's tone suddenly turned cold, and Zheng Feiyu's heart trembled. Then Chu Xiang quickly reversed the car and beautifully bypassed him to enter the Chu family. This time, Zheng Feiyu didn't stop her. He knew that the two of them were finished. Completely finished. She didn't show any mercy. He even felt a little resentment in his heart, because he felt Chu Xiang's disdain and contempt for him. This made him feel as if he was still a good-for-nothing gangster at the bottom of society. He felt ashamed in Chu Xiang's eyes. Zheng Feiyu got in the car, slammed the door, and quickly left. He called his assistant in the car, and asked him to immediately transfer 200 million yuan to Chu Xiang, and arrange a business interview. It was already very late, and the earliest interview would have to wait until the next day. For such a thing, Zheng Feiyu couldn't use his personal Weibo to clarify anything. He couldn't accept it at all when he saw so many people scolding him on the internet. This was the first time he had encountered a failure after his great luck. Not only did he fail with all the women, but even the president of AT&T, who had just been hooked up with him, didn't see him. He had suffered a great loss this time. If he had known earlier, he would have broken up with Chu Xiang without any hesitation. Zheng Feiyu had such an idea in his heart, and then he remembered that he and Chu Xiang had always been good. Chu Xiang had always been gentle and considerate in front of him, showing all her strong side to others. If it hadn't been for Li Fei, Chu Xiang would never have changed. Li Fei, this damned woman. Even if Zheng Feiyu thought of Li Fei crying and complaining that she didn't want the child to be an illegitimate child, he still couldn't help but vent his anger. He no longer had a trace of love for Li Fei, and only fear was left. Li Fei was jealous of Chu Xiang, and wanted to kill Chu Xiang. Would she also kill him in the future if she was dissatisfied with him? This pepper used to make him feel very special and accomplished, but now he only felt that it was tricky. The sullen feeling of not being able to vent his anger made Zheng Feiyu stay up all night. He hated Chu Xiang, but he couldn't help but think about the little things that had happened between them since they were young. Chu Xiang really loved him. How much had she sacrificed for him? When he had liked the school belle, Chu Xiang had helped him chase her. She didn't know how to feel sorry for him at all. She did everything as long as he was happy. No matter how many women liked him now, he knew that the person who liked him most was Chu Xiang. Because before he had the ability to see through the raw stone and had wealth and status, these women didn't even look at him. Only Chu Xiang had been by his side. The only person he wanted to marry was Chu Xiang. He had never thought of the second possibility, but now everything was gone. Zhang Feiyu lay in bed and looked at the ceiling. He felt as if a big hole had been dug in his heart. It was empty, as if he had lost something important, and could never get it back. He pressed his chest hard. Was he destined to lose something if he got something? He had a hunch that even if he tried his best, he would not be able to get back Chu Xiang, who loved him the most. He was deceiving himself. He thought that Chu Xiang had given up such an important relationship. Would she be as sad as him in the middle of the night? Chu Xiang sat in her room and practiced. She had already forgotten about him. Her father and the senior management of the company would deal with him. She knew that the reason for the change in the company's cooperation was a woman. And then she solved this factor. She didn't have to care about anything else. Naturally, she didn't care about Zhang Feiyu. She trusted her father's company very much. Now, she just wanted to practice her skills well, and have fun and relax to her heart's content. Second, when Chu Xiang was about to go out, Ji Haifan ran to the Chu family's house and showed her his phone a little angrily. Zhang Feiyu is too shameless. He just forgot to pay back the interview money and didn't admit that he had an affair, let alone that Li Fei was pregnant. He said that he was innocent. How could he say that? Chu Xiang glanced at him. Since you know that he is shameless, why are you still angry? Isn't he misleading the netizens and making them misunderstand you? Won't the keyboard warriors scold you for slandering them? Ji Haifan was angry like a cute puffer fish. Chu Xiang was immediately amused. She poked his face. I'm not in the entertainment industry, and I'm not afraid of online abuse. Why would I care about the keyboard warriors? Those who should understand right and wrong have already understood. I've already achieved my goal. Ji Haifan suddenly blushed. Why did you suddenly do it? What's wrong with doing it? Are you shy? Chu Xiang looked at him in surprise. Don't you like to play? Why are you so innocent? I play, I don't mess around, okay? Isn't it normal to be innocent? I have very high requirements for a girlfriend. Who has such bad taste like Zhang Feiyu? Ji Haifan hurriedly explained, afraid that Chu Xiang would misunderstand that he had a messy life and was jealous when it came to relationships. The two of them sat on the sofa. Chu Xiang looked at him and smiled. She reached out and trapped him between her arm and the sofa. Why do I feel that? Your tone is so sour. Who asked you about your requirements for a girlfriend? Or are you trying to imply something? Ji Haifan's heart instantly beat like a drum. He widened his eyes in disbelief, suspecting that he had been teased. He looked at Chu Xiang, who was so close to him. He didn't know where the courage came from, but he lowered his head and touched Chu Xiang's soft lips lightly. I'm not hinting, I'm saying it explicitly. I like you. Be my girlfriend. I'll dote on you, love you, and play with you for the rest of my life. I'll never abandon you. Ji Haifan finished in one breath and held his breath, waiting for Chu Xiang's answer. Chu Xiang smiled. Okay, boyfriend. Chapter 328. Ji Haifan didn't react at first. Only when he saw Chu Xiang's smile did he realize what he had heard. He instantly burst into laughter. This was the scene that Chu Qingji saw when he walked in. His daughter trapped Ji Haifan on the sofa, and Ji Haifan looked at his daughter and smiled like a fool. He stopped at the door and didn't know whether to go in or leave for a while. Chu Xiang glanced at Chu Qingji's figure. She raised her eyes and withdrew her arm, calling out, Dad. Ji Haifan immediately jumped up, as if he was pretending to be pitiful. When he turned around and saw Chu Qingji, he was so nervous that he didn't know what to do. He actually bowed subconsciously and shouted loudly, Dad! There was a moment of stagnation in the air. Chu Xiang couldn't help but laugh. Ji Haifan quickly lowered his head and blushed. He wished he could find a hole to hide in. Chu Qingji also couldn't help laughing and walked in. You stinky boy, you still have today? If your dad sees you like this, his eyeballs will fall out. Well, sit down honestly and tell me what you think. If you are teasing Xiang, stop it as soon as possible. Otherwise, don't blame me for being angry. Chu Qingji sat on the sofa opposite them with his legs crossed and his momentum released, as if he was negotiating at the negotiating table. Although he had a smile on his face and his tone was relaxed, it inexplicably made Ji Haifan feel uneasy. He felt that if he didn't answer well, he would be killed by his father-in-law in minutes. But of course he couldn't be scared at this time. Ji Haifan took a deep breath, sat upright, and held Chu Xiang's hand. He promised as if he was making an oath. Uncle Chu, don't worry. I am sincere to Xiang. I have never liked a person so much in my life. I definitely don't mean to play with her. I know I may have been, a little unreliable in the past, but in fact I have a lot of advantages. For example, I am kind-hearted, I can make Xiang laugh, I can protect Xiang with my life, and I will never be bad to Xiang. He had racked his brains to come up with these few advantages. His heart instantly turned cold, and he was so anxious that beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. People would always regret not having enough knowledge when it was time to use it. His situation was similar. When he saw his father-in-law, he hated himself for not working hard enough. He didn't even have any achievements that his father-in-law thought highly of. It was too embarrassing. Ji Haifan scratched the back of his head and said, Uncle Chu, I will definitely treat Xiang well. If I dare to treat her badly, you don't have to do anything. My grandma and my parents will beat me to death. Chu Qingji was also amused by his appearance. This brat had always been the leader of that group of children. He would often lead a group of mischievous troublemakers. If he was asked to do something, there would always be a pile of words waiting for him. He had a glib tongue. This was the first time that Chu Qingji had seen him so nervous that he stuttered, as if he was afraid that he would not get the job in an interview. It was very interesting. Chu Qingji had watched Ji Haifan grow up. Of course, he knew what kind of character Ji Haifan had. This child was particularly simple for a group of old foxes like them. He was wholeheartedly good to his family and recognized friends, but to outsiders, he was as cold as the autumn wind sweeping the fallen leaves. Ji Haifan's world was either black or white. It was simple and easy to understand. Although he didn't have any great achievements, this was not the standard for Chu Qingji to choose a son-in-law. He had worked so hard to find his daughter and almost lost her. Now Chu Qingji only hoped that Chu Xiang would live happily for the rest of her life. A workaholic obviously couldn't be the most important companion, including himself. Then Ji Haifan's advantages were very useful. Ji Haifan thought that his advantages were not worth mentioning, but he didn't know that these advantages were what Chu Qingji valued most. Accompanying Chu Xiang, making Chu Xiang laugh, being good to Chu Xiang, and never betraying her. These were all Chu Qingji's requirements for a son-in-law. Ji Haifan was very excellent. Chu Qingji didn't let Ji Haifan worry anymore. He relaxed, stood up and patted Ji Haifan on the shoulder. He smiled and said, Uncle believes in you. Have fun and take good care of Xiang. Yes, Uncle Chu, don't worry. Ji Haifan nodded heavily and promised. Seeing him like this, the father and daughter of the Chu family smiled again. Seeing the happy smile on his daughter's face, Chu Qingji was completely relieved. He took the important documents in the safe and flew abroad to discuss cooperation. He didn't have the heart to say too much to the silly son of the Ji family. Maybe his daughter liked this kind of person. Then, let the two children be happy together. Chu Xiang really liked Ji Haifan like this. When he looked at her, his watery eyes were like a big dog waiting to be spoiled, which was very likable. After Chu Qingji left, Ji Haifan made an exaggerated gesture of wiping sweat and said to Chu Xiang, It's so exciting to see my father-in-law on the first day of my love life. No, Xiang, you have to go back with me to see my parents and my grandmother. It's only fair. We are boyfriend and girlfriend, and we must let them know. Chu Xiang looked at his twinkling eyes, raised her eyebrows and smiled. Let them know? I think you want to let everyone know, don't you? Ji Haifan straightened his chest and said self-righteously, So what? Shouldn't I tell the world that I'm with the person I like? I also want to let all the crazy bees outside to retreat. I didn't expect that we are a couple now. Chu Xiang chuckled and pinched his face. She got up and said, "Then you arrange it. I'll go upstairs and change my clothes, and then we'll leave." Okay. Ji Haifan was just about to tell his girlfriend not to pinch his face like a child, but he immediately changed his mind. No matter what, it was a good thing to announce to the world anyway. Chu Xiang went upstairs to change her clothes, and he smiled like a fool on the sofa. They went to the Ji family for dinner, and then went to the seaside villa in the nearby city to celebrate with their close friends. At first, everyone thought that Ji Haifan's proposal was successful, but when they heard that it was only a successful confession and that he had just been promoted to Chu Xiang's boyfriend, they immediately despised him. One by one, they taught him the way of love, and told him to be with Chu Xiang as soon as possible. Ji Haifan blushed from time to time in front of Chu Xiang, but not in front of them. Everyone smiled and taught him their experience, but they were all refuted by him. If their experience was useful, how could they still be single? They were all failures, and the only one who had succeeded was him. He would definitely be with Chu Xiang for a long time. Zheng Feiyu was still hoping that Chu Xiang would respond to his interview. After all, he completely denied the cheating. With the conflict between Chu Xiang and Chu Xiang, he felt that Chu Xiang would at least mock him. But no, there was nothing. Don't respond. Chu Xiang didn't even react. He asked around and finally found out that Chu Xiang had a new relationship with Ji Haifan, the real rich young master of the Ji family, who was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Zheng Feiyu was at a loss for a moment, and then he didn't believe it. He didn't believe that Chu Xiang could fall in love with someone else so quickly. He was still immersed in the pain of heartbreak. Chu Xiang loved him so much. How could she find a boyfriend so quickly? She must be angry with him. It must be a family marriage. It must be Ji Haifan who was pestering her. Zheng Feiyu found countless excuses until he saw the short video of Chu Xiang and Ji Haifan drinking wine. In the seaside villa, a group of friends were joking. Chu Xiang and Ji Haifan drank wine. Both of them had sweet smiles on their faces, and there was no reluctance at all. After drinking wine, Chu Xiang even kissed Ji Haifan, and Ji Haifan immediately blushed. Obviously, Chu Xiang was the one who took the initiative in this relationship. The phone slipped from Zheng Feiyu's hand and fell to the ground with a crisp sound. It was as if his relationship with Chu Xiang was completely broken at this moment. Zheng Feiyu began to chug down glass after glass of alcohol. He recalled everything that had happened between him and Chu Xiang, as if he was torturing himself. He drank himself into a drunken stupor, and then kept calling Chu Xiang. It was a pity that the childhood sweetheart who used to love him deeply was no longer around. Now Chu Xiang wouldn't even look at him. However, there were still people who felt sorry for Zheng Feiyu, who was heartbroken. Many women fell for this trick. No matter how big a mistake he had made, as long as they saw his sincere pain, they felt that they could forgive him for anything. He must have his difficulties. Li Fei thought so. The leading actress, movie queen, and princess who were coaxed by Zheng Feiyu all thought so. The other women had stopped contacting Zheng Feiyu. But these 4 women were still around Zheng Feiyu, fighting openly and secretly for the position of his official girlfriend. Zheng Feiyu looked like he was in love, saying that he didn't want to think about relationship problems for the time being, which made the women believe that he was very infatuated. Even Li Fei, who was pregnant, didn't dare to be too tough in front of Zheng Feiyu because of her ruthlessness. Love lowered people's intelligence and confused them. They couldn't see the true nature of a person. They all felt that their relationship with Zheng Feiyu was a coincidence, an accident, and some kind of forced relationship. So Zheng Feiyu really didn't betray Chu Xiang. It was Chu Xiang who was heartless and ruthless. She abandoned Zheng Feiyu without mercy and turned to the arms of a rich young master. Zheng Feiyu was the one who suffered. The smart women had already left Zheng Feiyu, and the ones who stayed behind were all stuck in the swamp and couldn't be pulled out. Under their continuous comforting, Zheng Feiyu gradually became more cheerful. However, Chu Xiang became a cinnabar mole in his heart, a hurdle that he couldn't get over. Ji Haifan also became his biggest enemy. As Ji Haifan's backer, the Ji family was the existence that he hated the most. Zheng Feiyu started to compete with the Ji family's jewelry business. He could see through the raw stones and the quality of the jade inside, which gave him a huge advantage and made him the king of jewelry in the industry. It also made his vanity even more inflated. Chu Xiang and Ji Haifan had been to all the fun places in the world for months. When they heard that there was a bet in Myanmar, they also went to Myanmar to join in the fun. The person in charge of buying jade in the Ji family this time was Ji Haifan's father. Ji Haifan saw him and asked, "Is Zheng Feiyu causing trouble for our family?" Ji Haifan's father snorted. "Now you know how to worry? What were you doing earlier?" Ji Haifan smiled cheekily and massaged Ji Haifan's shoulders. Chu Xiang smiled and said, "Sorry to trouble you, uncle." Ji Haifan's father smiled and waved his hand. How can there be no competitors in business? That guy can't touch the Ji family. He can't do business just by picking a few pieces of jade and poaching a few designers. You don't have to worry about that. The jewelry king relied on his strength. Of course, he couldn't be compared to an ordinary person with X-ray vision. Since Father Ji didn't panic at all, Chu Xiang and Ji Haifan naturally wouldn't panic either. Zheng Feiyu, who was smug, was nothing in their eyes. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.